Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Natsu had dual elements. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. What If Natsu had dual elements will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. I'd love to do another poll to decide our next project, but unfortunately, due to my travel plans, I won't be able to start a new series until the end of December if we go that route. So instead, I've decided that the series which came in second place in the last poll will be our next project. That means the series replacing What If Natsu had dual elements will be What If Transmigrated into One Piece and became a Marine. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 56 Key to Success. Don't think I forgot about you, asshole. I need to pay you back for all the shit you said while we were trapped in that cell. Natsu roared as vibrant, blue flames coated his legs, before rocketing toward Hughes at an incredible speed. In the blink of an eye, Natsu was in front of Hughes, hitting him with a devastating flaming punch to the jaw. Fire Dragon's Purifying Iron Fist. Natsu's attack instantly floored Hughes with enough force to cause him to smash through the ship's deck and crash into the ground below. Give our Nakama back. Why your friends will be fused with Extalia's magical power and become an eternal source of magical power for Idolas. Hughes said in a pained tone, pulling himself out of the hole in the ground and raising his magic wand once again. Wincing in pain, Hughes flicked his wrist and his wand sparked to life. Out of thin air, a set of roller coaster tracks formed underneath Natsu's feet, with a series of cars barreling toward him. That was a good hit, I'll admit, but let's see how you like this. Natsu! Look out behind you! Lucy exclaimed as she tried to rush over to help her mate. However, she was stopped in her tracks when the ground beneath her and Gray suddenly gave out and they started to sink in, almost as if it were quicksand. What the hell is this? As if this would stop me! Natsu roared, turning to face the coaster cars and standing his ground. We're not going to let you stop us. Hughes gasped and watched in wide-eyed terror as Natsu's entire body became engulfed in roaring blue flames. Feeling his body start to tremble, Hughes' breath hitched when he swore the pink-haired dragon slayer's billowing flames took the shape of a ferocious dragon. Unleashing a terrifying shout, Natsu raised his arms and stopped the coaster cars with his bare hands, completely shrouding them in scorching blue flames. The coaster cars had begun to melt in mere seconds, the molten metal falling to the ground below. Hughes yelped in fear when Natsu turned to face him, a look of draconic fury in his eyes as he exhaled a plume of smoke and specks of blue fire. Oh God! Hughes thought as he felt an almost overwhelming urge to drop his wand and run away, feeling as if he were facing down an actual dragon. He really is a monster. Gray, you handle that pink-armored fruitcake. Lucy, you go on ahead and try to find the king. Natsu snarled, hopping down from the wooden ship and landing several feet away from Hughes. Slowly walking toward the terrified Idolas mage, the pink-haired dragon slayer's fists became engulfed in crackling orange electricity as he seemed to tower over Hughes. This asshole is all mine. Same time, with King Faust. Your Majesty, all the preparations have been made. Byro cackled as he walked into Faust's personal quarters. They shish the final phase of Code ETD. So it seems. Faust muttered in a dark tone, clasping his hands together in a prayer gesture. Farewell, ye gods. If you'll follow me, I'll show you the device, Your Majesty. Byro said as he stepped aside and gestured toward the door. Faust gazed at Byro for several moments before nodding his head. After a brief walk, Byro and Faust were standing in front of a massive machine that resembled a magical cannon, with a dragon's head at the end of the barrel. The magical energy we drew from those dragon slayers, think of it as a giant chain to keep the floating island with our lacrima on it under your control, after which, all you'll have to do is crash that lacrima into the country of those cats. And with that, there will be a fusion of magical energies, and our kingdom will overflow with limitless magic. Reaching into his robe pocket, Byro pulled a large and extravagant-looking key. Take this, Your Highness. It's the key for activating the cannon. Your Majesty! Coco exclaimed in a panic, sprinting full speed toward Faust and Biro. Please, you must wait. Coco! What are you doing? Biro hissed as he let out an annoyed huff and angrily shook his fist. I distinctly remember telling you several times to never run around like that in front of His Majesty. But we can't use code ETD yet. Lily is on the island with the Lacrima. Coco pleaded with a worried look in her eyes, stopping in front of Faust and looking up at him. If we initiate the plan now, Lily is going to die. Faust said nothing for several moments as he simply stared down at Coco, a cold and menacing look in his eyes that unnerved the young girl. When Faust's eyes suddenly narrowed, Coco felt a chill run down her spine. Why does it matter? But, he's one of us. Coco breathed out as she felt tears sting her eyes. Faust's uncaring look seriously scaring her. We can't just let him die. Coco! Biro exclaimed, gritting his teeth in frustration as he glared at the young girl. The ones who need to sacrifice the most for the greater good are the authorities. But I don't want Lily to die. Coco exclaimed as a few tears fell down her cheeks, rapidly shaking her head. I don't care how the rest of the plan goes. He doesn't deserve to die. Wiping away her tears, Coco shot Faust a disappointed look before snatching the ETD activation key away from Biro and running away. I don't want that. What are you doing? Biro exclaimed, his eyes widening in shock. You insolent child. Coco! Faust yelled in anger as he aimed his staff at the young girl. Without any hesitation, Faust fired a bolt of lightning at Coco, the electricity striking her legs. Screaming in pain, Coco collapsed to the ground, tears falling from her eyes as she gazed down at her singed and smoking legs. You've always loved to run and I've always loved to see you so full of energy. With his staff sparking to life once again, Faust blasted Coco's legs once again. Faust's cruelty even caused Biro to cringe uncomfortably. Give me the key. Coco said nothing, gazing back at Faust with eyes full of fear and shock. After staring at the activation key for several moments, Coco tightly balled her fists and defiantly got back onto her feet. Despite the immense pain shooting through her legs, Coco continued to run away from Faust. I can't let him have this key. I won't let him sacrifice Lily. Coco! Faust roared as he grit his teeth, his entire body shaking in anger. With a growl rumbling in his throat, Faust whipped around to face Biro. After her this instant, Biro! Do not let her get away with that key. It hurts so much. Coco thought, sprinting as fast as she could through the halls as blood spurted from the injuries on her legs. Rounding a corner, Coco winced in pain as one of her cuts split open even wider. Running has never been this painful before. Feeling tears stream down her face once again, Coco tightened her grip on ETD's activation key. It's like I don't want eternal magic, but I don't want Lily to die either. What do I do? However, as Coco skidded around another corner, she was stopped dead in her tracks when she ran into someone, both of them falling to the ground. Worried that she had slammed into one of Faust's men, Coco prepared to get back up as quickly as possible and run away. Oh no! Who did I smack into? Ow, damn it! Coco was surprised to hear a feminine voice coming from the person she had run into. Raising her head, Coco saw a busty, young blonde woman in front of her. It turns out Coco had run into Lucy as she had been searching for Faust. After rubbing her head for a few moments, Lucy noticed Coco staring at her and cocked her head slightly. Who are you? Coco! Someone yelled from down the hall. Turning toward the voice, Lucy spotted a short, elderly man panting heavily as he hobbled toward them. Why, why, do you insist on running away? Please. Coco pleaded as she reached out and gripped Lucy's skirt, tears streaming down her face. Help me. Huh? Lucy muttered, quirking an eyebrow at the girl's sudden request. However, Lucy gasped when she noticed the horrible injuries on the young girl's legs. What happened to your legs? Such an awful injury. I can't run anymore. Coco said as she sniffled, hesitating for a brief moment before raising her hand to offer Lucy the ETD activation key. Take dash suddenly, Coco stopped herself and lay on the floor, hiding the key against her chest. Wait. This woman is one of those Earthland outsiders. I can't give her the key. But I can't let Byro have it either. What should I do? Asterisk pan, I'm sick of this. Byro said, breathing heavily as he glared fiercely at Coco. Give me the key now, damn it. Key? Lucy parroted as she perked up, instinctively placing a hand protectively over her celestial gate keys. What do you want with my keys? This sudden exclamation caused Byro's eyes to widen in surprise. I'm definitely not giving them to some creep like you. This girl, she's completely misunderstanding the situation. Coco thought, glancing between Byro and Lucy several times. I have to dash. Don't worry. Lucy said as she raised her arms and slid into a fighting stance. Glancing down at Coco, the blonde celestial spirit mage flashed her a brief smile. I'll take him out for you. Hearing an explosion echo from outside followed by a bright flash of orange light, Lucy chuckled lightly. Sounds like Natsu is going crazy out there. I need to hurry and find the king, but I can't just leave this girl here. And for whatever reason, this guy is after my keys. Sho, you intend to stand in my way and not hand it over? Byro growled, balling his fists in frustration. I grow tired of these games. There's no way I'm handing my keys over to you. Lucy exclaimed as she grabbed one of her gate keys, raising it into the air. Open. Gate of the Golden Bull. Taurus. With a flash of blinding, golden light, Taurus appeared in front of Lucy, wielding his gigantic axe. I need your help, Taurus. Moo. Taurus yelled, steam bellowing from his nose as he openly ogled Lucy's body. You look lovely as ever, Lucy. You have such a nice body. Cow. Byro said as his eyes widened in shock, not believing what he was seeing. This is too strange. How the hell did she do that? Turning noshing into so meshing. Preposterous. Incomprehensible. So, this is Earthland magic. Coco thought, her brow furrowing as she gazed at Taurus. Seems kind of perverted to me. Go, Taurus. Lucy exclaimed as she extended her arm and pointed at Byro. Take him down. Byro yelled, before ducking underneath a wild swing from Taurus, the bullman's axe burying itself into the ground. How impudent! Reaching into his robe pocket, Byro pulled out a vial of liquid and splashed it onto Taurus. A split second later, the liquid combusted and engulfed Taurus in scorching flames, causing the celestial spirit to roar in pain. Flame liquid. Taurus. Lucy exclaimed as she watched her celestial spirit collapse to the ground and writhe around in agony, his body covered in serious burns. With a flash of golden light, Taurus disappeared as he was sent back to the spirit world. Seeing her spirit seriously injured like that caused Lucy's anger to flare up, feeling Natsu's magic start to flow from her mate Mark. The air around Lucy began to heat up and crackle with electricity as she grabbed her whip. Byro's eyes widened in shock as he watched Lucy's body become engulfed in swirling flames and crackling electricity. I'll make you pay for hurting Taurus. What the hell? How is she? Byro was cut off by the sound of a cracking whip, seconds before Lucy's whip, now coated in flames and electricity, wrapped around him. Hissing in pain, Byro collapsed onto his knees, his clothes starting to singe and smoke. Feeling constantly increasing pain racking his body, Byro tried to reach into his robe and grab more of his vials. I have to hurry and use one of these. Storm liquid should dash. However, he was stopped when Lucy suddenly yanked her whip forward, causing Byro to fall flat on his face. With a few strong pulls, Lucy dragged Byro in front of her. Flipping the old man over, Lucy tore his robe open and spotted his stash of vials full of magical liquid tucked into his pocket. Before Byro could even react, Lucy snatched all of the vials. Holding all of the vials in her hand, Lucy focused as much of the flames coating her body into her palm, drastically increasing the temperature. Within seconds, the liquids in the vials began to boil and bubble. Moments later, all of the vials exploded, the liquid inside them instantly evaporating as soon as it touched the flames coating Lucy's body. "There, all of your nasty magic liquids are gone now," Lucy growled as she cracked her whip, causing it to unwrap from around Biro and sent him spinning. With a grunt, Biro's back slammed into the wall. "Now, it's time to finish you off." However, as Lucy began to approach Biro, she suddenly stopped and clutched her head. Sweat began to pour off Lucy's brow as the flames and electricity surrounding her body began to dissipate. She could feel Natsu's magic rapidly depleting and exhausting her. "No. Not now, just a bit longer. What's going on? It seems like she's run out of magic or something," Biro thought, staring at Lucy in shock as he watched her stumble slightly. Seeing an opportunity, Biro began to reach into his pant pocket. "I still have my octopus liquid. If I can drink it, I'll be able to turn this fight around." Pulling out the hidden vial, Biro began to raise it to his lips. "It ends here, girl." However, just as Biro began to drink the liquid, a low, rumbling sound could be heard from outside the wall. The rumbling sound grew louder and louder until there was a massive explosion of blue fire that burst clean through the wall. Lucy's eyes widened and smile spread across her face when she saw that it was Natsu, driving his flaming knee into Hugh's face. With a sickening crack, Hugh slammed into Biro, sending both men tumbling and smashing the vial of octopus liquid. Coming to a skidding stop, Natsu exhaled a trail of smoke as he wiped some flecks of debris from his shirt. "Holy crap!" Coco thought as she stared at Natsu and Lucy in awe. "Biro and Hughes have both been defeated. TCH, that'll teach you, bastards, for fucking with my nakama." Natsu growled, using his foot to flip Hughes over as he stared at his bloodied and burned face. When Natsu spotted a short, elderly man knocked out underneath Hughes, he quirked an eyebrow and cocked his head. "Who the hell is this guy?" "Nice job, Natsu," Lucy exclaimed as she rushed over and hugged her mate, laying her head against his chest. "You came in the nick of time. I can tell." Natsu said, his brow furrowing as he gazed at Lucy's mate Mark. "Looks like you used my magic again, so soon after last time too." "Yeah, that old guy hurt Taurus and it really pissed me off. So, it kind of just happened," Lucy said as she briefly glared at Biro and stuck her tongue out. "But, I still can't control it very well. When I use your magic, it runs out too fast and it leaves me really drained for a few moments." "Well, we'll have to work on that when we get back to the guild," Natsu said, before leaning in closer to Lucy's neck, his hot breath sending a pleasurable shiver down her spine. "But first, I need to replenish the magic you used." Knowing there was no point in arguing, Lucy simply tilted her head to give Natsu better access to her neck. The blonde celestial spirit mage winced for a moment when she felt Natsu's fangs pierce her skin. But her pain was quickly replaced by a comforting pleasure as Natsu's magic began to pour into her body. A brief moan escaped Lucy's lips as her cheeks flushed, clutching Natsu's head and pulling him closer. Coco watched the entire exchange in a mixture of embarrassment and confusion, having no clue what the two fairy tale mages were doing. After a few more moments, Natsu pulled his fangs out of Lucy's neck, giving the area a brief lick to stop the bleeding. Lucy was panting lightly as she felt Natsu's magic flow through her body, a pleasurable warmth radiating from her mate Mark. "There," Natsu said with a smile as he licked his lips, stepping away from his blonde-haired mate. "You should be all topped off." What the hell was that?" Coco thought, lowering her head as she felt her face heat up. "I've never seen anything like that before. Why was he biting her neck? And why did it look like she liked it? Who do we have here?" Natsu said as he finally took notice of Coco, crouching next to the young girl. Seeing Coco's injured legs, Natsu cocked his head and frowned. "Those injuries, who gave them to you?" Coco didn't say anything in response to Natsu's question, still hiding her face from the fairy tale mages. Releasing a light sigh, Natsu began to rapidly rub his hands together, causing them to glow faintly. "If you don't want to answer, that's fine. Now, this won't magically heal your injuries. Wendy could do that if she were here, but this will at least help relieve the pain." "What's he talking?" Coco was pulled from her thoughts when she felt Natsu grip her legs, a comforting warmth spreading throughout her body. A sigh of relief escaped her lips as she felt the pain in her legs start to fade away. After a few more moments, Natsu pulled his hands away and the intense pain Coco had been feeling was practically gone. This guy, he knows that I'm probably his enemy, but he's still willing to help. Feeling tears sting her eyes, Coco raised her head and held out the ETD activation key. You need to take this, it's the key for the mechanism that would have killed your friends. Could it be for whatever they're going to use to smash the lacrima into Extalia? Lucy muttered as she stroked her chin, staring at the key in Coco's hand. So, this must be the guy that old guy was talking about. More than everlasting magic, I just want everyone to live happily together. Coco cried, a few tears falling down her cheeks. So please, you must destroy this key. So, by destroying this key, we can stop them from using the lacrima to attack Extalia, right? Natsu asked as he walked in front of Coco, kneeling down next to her. Looking up, Coco eagerly nodded her head, which caused a smirk to spread across the pink-haired dragon slayer's face. Thank you so much for doing this. In an instant, one of Natsu's hands was coated in scorching orange flames. Leave it to me. I'll destroy that key in a dash, but before Natsu could finish his sentence and grab the key from Coco, someone flew by at an incredible speed and snatched it out of her hand. What the fuck? Ah ha ha ha. Sugar Boy laughed haughtily, stealing the ETD activation key from Coco as he sped past her. Now. You shouldn't be giving something so precious away to our enemies, Coco. If you'll excuse me, I'll just get this back to His Majesty. Sugar Boy. Coco exclaimed as she watched her comrade shoot off down the hall like a rocket. Return that right now. You bastard. A new voice exclaimed, the sounds of a revving engine reverberating through the hall. A split second later, Coco and the fairy tale mages were shocked to see Gray skid around a corner, riding a magical motorcycle. Just wait a damn minute and stop running away. Gray! Natsu yelled in surprise as he watched his rival zoom past him, racing after Sugar Boy. Where the hell did he get that thing? My, you're a persistent one, aren't you? Sugar Boy asked in a teasing tone, continuing to fly through the halls, with Gray hot on his heels. But this is ultimately pointless. It's not like you could beat me anyway. Reaching out with his sword, Sugar Boy tapped the ground, causing it to partially collapse in a long line behind him. Be a good boy and fall in. Whoa! Gray exclaimed as he managed to veer his motorcycle out of the way at the last moment, barely managing to avoid Sugar Boy's pitfall. I'm getting really sick of your damn traps. As Gray continued to chase after Sugar Boy, he took notice of how the pink-armored man was moving throughout the hall so quickly. And how the hell are you gliding like that? It's super creepy. Sugar Boy said nothing for several moments before eventually shaking his head and shrugging his shoulders. I don't really get how it works either, it just sort of happened one day and I've been able to do it ever since. With how weird you are, that actually makes sense. Graby said as he skidded around a corner, barely managing to keep control of his bike. What the hell is that key for anyway? It's the key to activate the Dragon Chain Cannon. Sugar Boy replied, looking back at Gray and smirking. That's all you need to know. Dragon Chain Cannon? Gray parroted as his eyes widened slightly, not liking the ominous-sounding name. What is that supposed to be? Any more information would be top secret. Sugar Boy taunted, before glancing back at Gray and winking. Seeing this caused a shiver to run down Gray's spine as he grimaced. Aren't you tired of chasing me? Dragon Chain Cannon, it has to be related to the Dragon Slayer magic they extracted. Gray thought as his eyes narrowed, twisting the motorcycle's throttle. I have to get that key back. Tilting the bike so that he was closer to the ground, Gray began to drag his fingertips across the floor. Ice make floor. Heh, ice can't win against me. I can soften anything. Sugar Boy laughed, raising his sword and pressing it against the ice racing toward him. Rosa Espada. However, Sugar Boy was surprised when he suddenly began to spin out of control. What is happening? You may have softened it, but you haven't changed the ice's nature. Gray said with a smirk as he watched Sugar Boy veer toward a wall. That means you'll still slip on it. Sugar Boy tried to say something but was cut off when he slammed into the wall, yelping in pain. Skidding with his motorcycle, Gray used the bike's momentum to hurl it at Sugar Boy. Now's my chance. I told you, that won't work. Sugar Boy growled, glaring at Gray as he raised Rosa Espada. As soon as the blade touched the flying motorcycle, the bike began to liquefy practically instantly. However, Sugar Boy was surprised when he noticed that Gray was only a few feet away, reaching for the activation key. He's going for the key? The bike was just a distraction. Break to pieces. Gray exclaimed as he grabbed a hold of the key, completely encasing it in ice. But after a few moments of nothing happened, Gray quirked an eyebrow. Ha! What's going on? Heh, that was a cool move, Ice Boy. Sugar Boy said, causing Gray to cringe in disgust. Ice cold, in fact. Oi! Don't go giving me a creepy nickname. Gray spat as he stared at the still intact key in his and Sugar Boy's grasp. And why won't this damn thing break? This key isn't something that will break easily. Sugar Boy explained, his teeth chattering as a chill ran down his spine. Man, this is really cold. Gray and Sugar Boy continued their staring contest for a few more moments, neither of them moving an inch. Hey, can you let go of me already? I don't really like holding hands with men. TCH, haven't you realized that the situation has changed? Gray asked, which caused Sugar Boy to cock his head slightly and quirk an eyebrow in confusion. You guys may need this key, but we don't. If I can't destroy this damn key, then I'll just use my ice and make sure you can never use it. It's no use, Ice Boy. Sugar Boy said with a cocky smirk, slowly shaking his head. With Rosa Espada, I'll just soften the ice. You sure about that? Gray asked with a cocky smirk of his own, which caused Sugar Boy to frown in annoyance. One tiny mistake and you'll turn the key to goop too. Sugar Boy hummed, his brow furrowing as mulled over what Gray had said. But after only a few moments, Sugar Boy smiled and shrugged his shoulders, raising Rosa Espada. It's fine. I have precision aim. Are you fucking nuts? Gray exclaimed as his eyes widened in shock, before ducking underneath a slash from Sugar Boy's blade. I thought you were trying to soften the ice. I changed my mind. Sugar Boy said, before swinging at Gray once again, which he barely managed to dodge. Literally being attached to Sugar Boy made his attacks difficult to avoid. I'll just slice you up instead. My Rosa Espada can be used as a normal sword as well. Lashing out once again, Sugar Boy landed an attack on Gray's arm, causing the ice mage to hiss in pain as blood poured from his wound. You're the one who froze us together, so you can't complain if cut you to bits. TCH, I'll never let go. Even if you kill me. Gray exclaimed as thrust his arm forward, unleashing another blast of ice magic which caused the ice encasing the activation key to grow larger. I'll freeze your ass solid. Ha! Like I'd let that happen. Sugar Boy yelled, hitting Gray's ice with Rosa Espada, which caused it to start liquefying. Let go already. Not happening. Gray shouted as both he and Sugar Boy battled back and forth, neither of them gaining an edge over the other. Whenever Gray would try to use more of his ice, Sugar Boy would use Rosa Espada to soften it. After nearly a full minute of this tug-of-war battle, both Gray and Sugar Boy gasped when they noticed a crack forming in the activation key. Yes. That's it. Keep breaking, you bastard. This is bad. Like really, really bad. Sugar Boy panicked, desperately trying to pry the activation key free. Let go. The key is seriously going to break. No way in hell. My friends' lives are on the line. Gray exclaimed in anger as he bared his fangs. I'm smashing this damn key if it's the last thing I do. And no, wait. You don't understand how bad this is. Sugar Boy pleaded, frantically waving his freed arm in an attempt to get Gray to stop. You guys need the key too. So, let's just call a truce for now. The key is about to break. What the hell are you talking about? Gray asked as he suddenly pushed forward, slamming Sugar Boy into a wall. Spit it out. You can use this key to turn your friends back to normal. Sugar Boy blurted out, doing his best to stop Gray from pressing him further against the wall. I know you probably think I'm bluffing, but I'm not. The Dragon Chain Cannon fires concentrated Dragon Slayer magic. Don't you know what Dragon Slayer magic can be used for in this world? Wait. Gray thought as remembered back to when Gajeel had freed him and Urza from the lacrima they were trapped in. Sugar Boy was right, Dragon Slayer magic could be used to free everyone. But how can I trust this guy? He could still be lying. If you fire the Dragon Chain Cannon directly at the lacrima, you can turn all your friends back to normal. Sugar Boy continued, managing to push Gray back slightly as he got himself off the wall. You understand, right? We both need this key. So, you can't destroy it. We've got Gajeel. Gray pointed out as several new cracks in the key started to form, causing Sugar Boy to gasp in panic. And now we've also got Natsu and Wendy too. So, why do we even need your damned cannon? We've got 3 Dragon Slayers of our own. You idiot, do you realize how many days that would take? Sugar Boy growled, struggling to hold Gray back while also trying to keep the key safe. That lacrima will begin turning into magical power tomorrow. Our plan was to smash it into Extalia before that happened. Sure, with 3 Dragon Slayers, you can save several people, but you'll never save them all. If you want to save all your friends, you can't destroy this key. This seemed to rattle Gray, causing him to hesitate for a moment. Now let go. I won't give you the key. Gray suddenly exclaimed as the activation finally shattered to pieces, crumbling in his and Sugar Boy's grasp. I can't take that risk. The key. Sugar Boy screamed, his eyes widening in shock as he watched the activation key practically disintegrate. Growling in anger, Sugar Boy tightly balled his fists. You damned idiot. I wasn't bluffing. Cocking his arm back, Sugar Boy swung Rosa Espada at Gray. Now, you can't save your dash. We're taking everyone back to our guild. Gray exclaimed as he showcased his stripping skills, effortlessly ducking out of his jacket which Sugar Boy hit with his sword. As Gray's jacket began to liquefy, ice magic began to swirl in his hands. Before Sugar Boy could attempt another attack, Gray unleashed his own. With ice blades jutting out of both of his forearms, Gray hit Sugar Boy with a flurry of devastating slashes. With a pained grunt, Sugar Boy collapsed to the ground. Ice Blade, 7-slice dance. Why you're crazy, Ice Boy, to think you'd actually destroy the key. Sugar Boy struggled to say, blood dripping from his mouth as he barely managed to turn to face Gray. Even though I told you that you could save your friends with that key. Heh, you seem to forget that I'm a mage who molds ice. Gray said with a satisfied smirk as he held out his hand. Sugar Boy's eyes widened in shock as an exact replica made out of ice materialized in the palm of Gray's hand. I can create anything. Same time, back in Extalia. So, this is Extalia. Wendy thought, walking through the streets with Carla at her side as she noticed every exceed they passed staring at them in shock. It looks like a normal city, but it really is nothing but cats here. A group of exceeds suddenly blocked their path, stopping them from going any further. Please, I wish to have an audience with the Queen. Extalia is in imminent danger. Out of the way. Get out of my way. Make way for Meow. Naughty exclaimed as he pushed his way toward the front of the crowd. When Naughty finally stood in front of Wendy and Carla, he started shaking his fist angrily. Why you both are in serious trouble. Fallen angels and humans are strictly forbidden from entering Extalia. We don't have time for that nonsense. Carla scoffed, crossing her arms over her chest. If you value your lives, you'll listen to what we have to say. Before you say anything. Naughty said as he glared at Wendy and Carla. What happened to Nichiya-san and the others that were chasing you? They were caught in a trap. Carla replied, slowly shaking her head. And were turned into lacrima by the Idolos Royal Army. This seemed to surprise the crowd for several moments before most of them burst out laughing. What are you idiots so amused by? As if Extalia's Imperial Guards could be taken out by mere humans. You both really should stop talking such nonsense. It's true. Wendy exclaimed as she did her best to try and convince the crowd of Exceed that they weren't lying. The royal army is going to attack Extalia next. Ha! Let 'em do as they please. The queen'll just brush them off with her magic. Yeah. We ain't listening to you too. Damn it, would you all just give us a chance? Wendy yelled, stomping her foot in frustration as her anger flared up because of the Exceed's taunts and laughter. If you don't flee now, you'll be in grave danger. Shut your damn mouth, human! One of the Exceeds yelled as they threw a rock at Wendy. However, the Exceeds were surprised when Wendy easily caught the rock. Don't think you're tough, human. Another Exceed exclaimed, before throwing another rock, but this one was aimed at Carla. Wendy's eyes widened in anger and worry as she watched the rock strike Carla in the head. You don't even know about the Queen's magical power. We're Exceed. We're better than you lowly humans. By now pretty much the entire crowd had joined in, pelting Wendy and Carla with stones and assaulting them with endless taunts. Get the hell out of here, you human and fallen angel. This is Extalia, the nation governed by our queen. We won't ever lose to humans as long as we have our queen. After another barrage of stones, a few streams of blood began to flow down Carla's head, and seeing this sent Wendy over the edge. Enough! Wendy roared as a massive burst of wind exploded off her body, blowing back the Exceeds that had surrounded them. A fierce growl rumbled in Wendy's throat as she stood protectively in front of Carla. All the Exceed were shocked as they watched as purple scales form on Wendy's arms and her hair turned dark purple with a disheveled appearance. Wendy's nails elongated into claws as wispy, purple gas radiated from her palms. I can't care if you hate humans. You can hurl all the insults and stones you want at me. But don't you dare do that to Carla. She's one of you, isn't she? Just listen to her and give her a damn chance. This impressive display of power shocked and silenced the Exceed, stopping their stone throwing immediately. None of the Exceed dare say anything, all of them simply staring at Wendy in stunned silence. Another growl rumbled in Wendy's throat as she breathed heavily, poisonous gas leaking out of the corners of her mouth. Carla too stared at Wendy in complete shock, having never seen this side of her. After the Nirvana incident, Carla knew that Wendy was powerful, but she had never seen the blue-haired dragon slayer this furious before. Wendy! Carla thought, choking back a sob as she felt tears sting her eyes. I had no idea you could be this fierce. Same time, with Gadgil. Go! Gadgil grunted as he used his arms to block a swing from Lily's massive sword. Even though the blade didn't pierce his skin, the force behind the attack still sent Gadgil skidding several feet back. Digging his feet into the ground, Gadgil finally managed to stop himself, still holding Lily's blade back. TSK, not bad, cat. To think you could stop my sword, which can crush iron, with your bare hands. Panther Lily said, staring intently at Gadgil as he noticed his blade had seemingly caused little to no damage. You Earthland mages are just full of surprises. I hate to break it to you, but iron dragon scales aren't like the ordinary iron you're used to, Gadgil said as he pushed Lily's blade away. That being said, aren't you allied with those other cats? Why the hell are you with the Royal Army? You're an Exceed, right? Same as me. Gadgil asked, trembling slightly as he pulled down his pack. Do you want a fish? I brought extra. That's a story from long ago. Lily exclaimed as he leaped into the air, hoisting up his gigantic sword. I've discarded my home. With a fierce yell, Lily brought down his blade. However, he was surprised when Gadgil formed an X with his arms and blocked his blade once again. The ground underneath Gadgil cracked and caved in as he was pushed down. That fake country. Fake country? Happy thought, his eyes widening slightly. What is he talking about? So, you're on the outside looking in, eh? Gadgil asked as a smirk spread across his face, memories of his time spent at Fairy Tale flashing through his mind. I know how that feels. Gee, I like you. Lily was shocked as he noticed cracks start to form on his sword before the entire blade eventually exploded into pieces. "I'm going to make you my cat. My Buster Marm!" Lily exclaimed in shock, watching as his giant sword crumbled. "How is this possible? But first, I've got to show you who's stronger." Gajiel yelled with a devilish grin as he slashed at Lily with an arm blade which the large cat barely managed to avoid. Not giving the Exceed a moment to breathe, Gajiel rushed forward and unleashed a barrage of attacks, with most of them managing to land. Hee hee. Now I won't be outdone by Salamander and that little girl. This guy. Panther Lily thought, ducking his head back just in time to avoid another slash from Gajiel. This is the power of Dragon Slayers. Iron Dragon's Roar. Unleashing a devastating roar at practically point-blank range, there was no way Gajiel could miss. The powerful whirlwind of Dragon Slayer magic slammed into Panther Lily, sending the Exceed crashing into the ground, with enough force that it pushed him clear through the floating island. With a grunt, Gajiel landed back on the ground, a toothy grin still on his face. "How'd you like that? You're strong." Gajiel was surprised when Panther Lily quickly reappeared, all of his armor having been blown away. Rushing forward, Lily hit Gajiel in the face with a powerful punch. "I like fighting strong opponents." Gajiel. Happy exclaimed as he watched the Iron Dragon Slayer's head whip back. However, Happy was surprised to see a large smile on Gajiel's face as if he were enjoying the fight. With an echoing crack, both Gajiel and Lily punched each other in the face simultaneously, neither of them giving up an inch. This time it wasn't just Gajiel, both the Iron Dragon Slayer and Panther Lily were now grinning in delight. Their faces are scary right now. Back with Gray. Good, he finally shut his damn mouth. Gray grumbled, rubbing the back of his head as he stared at Sugar Boy's unconscious body. "I should probably head back to Flamebrain and Lucy." "No need, I finally managed to catch up with you guys," Natsu called out as he suddenly appeared running down the hall toward Gray. Seeing that Sugar Boy was out cold, Natsu crouched down next to him and began to poke his cheek. "So, where's that stupid key?" "I took care of it, but the situation has changed," Gray replied, resting his hands on his hips as he gazed down the hall Natsu had come down. "Where's Lucy?" "She'll catch up in a bit," Natsu said as he flicked Sugar Boy's forehead, before standing back up. "We ran into a girl named Coco who was hurt, so Luce wanted to make sure she was alright before she left. More importantly, I found out something while fighting this asshole," Gray said with a smirk, holding out his palm and creating an ETD activation key out of ice. "We can actually use this key to save our friends." "Huh?" Natsu exclaimed as he gazed at the ice key, his eyes widening in surprise. "What are you talking about?" Apparently, their original aim was to use the Dragon Chain Cannon as a tether and smash the giant Lacrima into Extalia. Gray explained, closing his hand and causing the ice key to disappear. "But if we fire the Dragon Chain Cannon, which contains concentrated Dragon Slayer magic, directly at the Lacrima, we can turn everyone back to normal. I guess that does make sense," Natsu muttered as he rubbed his chin, furrowing his brow slightly. "Gajiel did free you and Urza with Dragon Slayer magic. That cannon is just ahead," Gray said, pointing toward a massive set of double doors further down the hall, with a pair of guards protecting them. "But those damn doors are in the way. They look really solid, so I don't think we can just bust through them." "Maybe I can dash." Natsu stopped mid-sentence when the sounds of clanking armor echoed down the hall behind them. Turning around, they were surprised to see an exhausted and battle-scarred Urza walking toward them. However, it appeared to be Nightwalker, instead of Scarlet. Despite this, a grin still spread across Natsu's face. "Hey! Glad you finally caught up with us." "Hold up, Natsu. Why are you being so friendly? Isn't that the Idolos Urza?" Gray asked, looking between the pink-haired Dragon Slayer and scarlet-haired Knight several times. However, after looking at Urza for several moments, Gray finally noticed something that was slightly off about her appearance. "Wait, pink streaks in your hair? Ah, you're actually our Urza. I could smell her coming a while ago," Natsu said with a chuckle as he tapped his nose, causing Urza's face to flush ever so slightly. So, what's with the getup, Urza? You said that we couldn't break through those doors. Urza said, pulling out 2 sets of rope, which caused Natsu and Gray to look at each other and quirk an eyebrow. Well, I've got an idea that might get us through. 5 minutes later. Ah! It looks like you made it through okay, Captain Nightwalker. One of the guards posted at the large double doors said, saluting the scarlet-haired knight. And I like what you've done with your hair. Very trendy. Oi! What part of her looks alright? The other guard exclaimed, roughly nudging his partner in the shoulder with his elbow. What the hell happened? Those wounds look bad. It's nothing serious. Urza said as she approached the guards, dragging a bound Natsu and Gray behind her. Okay, let's hope this works. Wait, those are Dash. Is His Majesty inside? Urza asked, cutting off the guards before they could pry any further. After the guards nodded and stepped aside, the large doors began to slowly swing open. Deciding to play up her act a bit, Urza smiled as she began to walk through the doors, dragging Natsu and Gray behind her. All the preparation are in order. I can see eternal magic before my eyes. Urza! As soon as she was through the doors, Urza was called out to by Faust, who was surrounded by dozens of his personal guards. Have you brought the activation key with you? Unfortunately, it was destroyed, but there is no need to worry. Urza replied, before tossing Gray to the ground in front of Faust. This person can create a new key for us. He can. Faust exclaimed in awe as he stared at Gray with wide eyes, stroking his long beard. Are you sure? He's a mage from Earthland, an ally of the Dragon Slayers. Urza explained, pulling out her sword and pointing it at Gray. He has the ability to mold ice. Mold ice, you say? Interesting. Faust said as his eyes narrowed slightly. Is it safe to assume that he's related to the disappearance of the Lacrima in the plaza? Urza said nothing, instead simply nodding her head in response. Well, that's fine then. Hurry and have him create a new key to activate the Dragon Chain Cannon. Get up, Ice Mage. Urza spat, hoisting Natsu up and pressing her sword's blade against his neck. Don't try anything funny, or else I'll slice your friend's neck open. Damn, she's really selling this. Gray thought as he slowly got onto his feet, pretending to glare at Urza in defiance. I have to play along too. You'll activate the Dragon Chain Cannon, now. Urza said, slightly digging her blade into Natsu's neck, just enough to not break the skin. Don't make me repeat myself. So, this is the Dragon Chain Cannon. Gray muttered as he gazed up at the massive, imposing mechanism in front of him. Here goes, I'll only get one chance. Holding out his hand, Gray formed an activation key out of ice. Once I activate this thing, I should be able to quickly change where it's aimed and have it hit the Lacrima directly. If I can do that, we'll save our friends. However, as Gray placed the key in the machine and started the firing sequence, his eyes suddenly widened when he realized a critical error in their plan. Wait, shit. 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 How the hell do I change where this damn thing is aiming? Yes. Faust breathed out, raising his arms into the air as he took a few steps toward the cannon. Yes, that's it. After a few more moments, the Dragon Chain Cannon began to hum with energy, signaling that it was ready. Fire. This is where we end things. Urza said before she released a light sigh, her eyes burning with determination. Now, Natsu. Hell yeah. Natsu exclaimed with a grin as brilliant blue flames exploded off his body, instantly disintegrating the ropes that bound him. With blue flames gathering around his arms, Natsu rushed toward the guards surrounding Faust. In mere seconds, a majority of the Imperial guards had been taken out, their bodies engulfed in Natsu's roaring flames. Fire Dragon's purifying wing attack. Just what is this? Faust exclaimed in utter shock as he watched his men fall one after another. But, before Faust could say or do anything else, he was grabbed from behind and a blade was held against his neck. Looking back, he was shocked to see that it was Urza who had taken him hostage. What is the meaning of this, Urza? Halt the firing sequence right now. Urza yelled, surprising everyone, minus Natsu and Gray, as she re-equipped back into her normal set of armor. My name is Urza Scarlet of Fairy Tale, and I am Earthland's Urza. Sorry about that, Gray said with a smirk as he shrugged his shoulders. But thanks for letting yourselves be fooled so easily. You took the bait hook, line, and sinker. Natsu laughed, a cheeky smile spreading across his face as he breathed out a small burst of orange electricity. That was too easy. Change the cannon's target to the lacrima, Urza ordered as she pressed her sword against Faust's neck a bit harder, cutting off some of his beard hair. Do it now or your king will lose his head. Don't listen to her. Fire the dash. Faust was silenced when Urza roughly pulled him closer, her sword now directly against his skin. Growling, you vile bitch. Damn, what should we do? I can't believe you'd do something as cowardly as taking a hostage. Yeah, like I'm gonna listen to the bastards who are willing to sacrifice innocent people's lives for their own selfish gains. Natsu growled as blue flames leaked out between his clenched teeth, causing the Imperial guards to step back in fear. We'd do anything for the sake of our nakama. Shit, just do it. His Majesty is in danger. Don't worry about me. Fire already. Faust demanded despite Urza's blade digging into his flesh. For the sake of destroying the Exceed. Re-aiming. Our new target is the giant lacrima. You damned fools. Faust roared as he tried to trash free of Urza's grasp, but she held him firmly in place. Are you really going to throw away eternal magical power? Scarlet. Urza's eyes widened in shock when she heard a familiar, furious voice yell out from above. Looking up, Urza gasped when she saw Nightwalker rapidly descending toward her, with her spear readied. We aren't done yet. You have to be fucking kidding me. Urza thought, shoving Faust away as she raised her sword to block Nightwalker's attack. Of all times for her to show back up. His Majesty is free. Change the target back. No! Gray exclaimed as he watched the cannon change its orientation, switching back to its original target. We were so close. This isn't over yet, Scarlet. Nightwalker roared, her spear grinding against Urza's sword, sending out a spray of sparks. You can't run away this time. Fire! Faust ordered with a maniacal smile just as one of his guards hit the cannon's firing button. Yes. Eternal magic will now be ours. A split second later, a deafening bang rang out and a blinding flash filled the air as the dragon chain cannon fired. Shooting out of the cannon was a massive, glowing chain, with its tip resembling a dragon's jaws. Within seconds, the chain hit its target, slamming into the side of the floating island that the giant lacrima was on. The same island that Gajiel, Panther Lily, and Happy were currently on. The link is complete, Your Majesty. Then smash that lacrima into Extalia. Faust ordered as he wildly gestured at the floating island. Wipe those cats off this world. You guys. Hearing a familiar voice yell out, the fairy tale mages all looked up and were surprised to see Lucy flying toward them, riding atop a monstrous-looking creature. Get on, quick. Why does that winch have a legion? Faust exclaimed in anger as he grit his teeth. Will these nuisances never end? It's my legion. Coco said, suddenly appearing from behind Lucy with a cocky smirk on her face. Forgot I had one too, didn't you? Luce. Nice entrance. Natsu exclaimed as he rushed over to the legion just as it landed, with Gray and Urza following right behind him. Will we be able to stop the chain with this thing? I have no idea. Lucy quickly replied, watching as her friends climbed aboard the creature. Once Natsu, Gray, and Urza were on, the Legion let out a mighty roar and took off. Its massive wings sent out a small shockwave that knocked over several of the Imperial guards. We have to go, now. Scarlet. Nightwalker snarled as she tightly balled her fists, locking eyes with her Earthland counterpart as she flew away. Grabbing a knife from her boot, Nightwalker swiftly cut off her ponytail, leaving her hair reaching just above her shoulders. After them, 2nd Magical Warfare Corps. All members of the Legion Corps, sortie. Don't let them escape. I'll go as well. Faust said in a dark tone, tightly gripping his staff as veins bulged along his face. Prepare the Dorma Anum. But your majesty, that's forbidden by Article 23 of the Imperial Charter. Prepare it. Faust roared in a furious tone, leaving no room for argument as he fiercely glared at the guard who had spoken out against him. Don't you dare speak against your king ever again. Same time, back with Gadgiel. What the hell was that? Gadgiel asked as he felt the ground beneath him start to shift. Why are we moving? This is our military's plan. Panther Lily said with a smirk, panting lightly. We're going to smash this Lacrima into Extalia and destroy them both. How? Happy said as he sniffled, tears forming in his eyes. How can you do such a horrible thing? Chapter 57 The King Falls. What the hell was that? Gadgiel asked as he felt the ground beneath him start to shift. Why are we moving? This is our military's plan. Panther Lily said with a smirk, panting lightly as he felt the island slowly starting to move through the air. We're going to smash this Lacrima into Extalia and destroy them both. How? Happy said as he sniffled, tears forming in his eyes. How can you do such a horrible thing? Grrrrrr. Gadgiel growled, stumbling slightly as the entire island radically shifted. Feeling the wind blow through his hair, Gadgiel realized the island was moving much faster. Is this thing speeding up? Hurry! Gadgiel's ears perked up when he heard an unmistakable voice yell out in the distance, his Dragon Slayer enhanced hearing quickly picking it up. He knew that the voice couldn't belong to anyone other than Natsu Dragneel. Turning around, Gadgiel grinned when he spotted a large creature speeding toward the floating island, with his fellow fairy tale members riding atop it. We can let that Lacrima crash into Extalia. Seconds later, the Legion Coco and the fairy tale mages were riding rammed its head into the floating island. Reaching down, Natsu gave the beast's head an encouraging pat. Come on, buddy, stop this damn thing. You can do it, Legion. Coco encouraged her mount as the creature let out a mighty roar, using all of its strength to try and stop the floating island. I believe in you. It's no good. Gray exclaimed after a few moments, seeing that the island's speed hadn't changed at all. This thing doesn't look like it's slowing down at all. We'll have to help out too. Natsu yelled as he rushed forward, running up the Legion's neck. With a grunt, Natsu slammed into the edge of the floating island, the veins along his arms and forehead bulging as his fingers dug into the stone. Letting out a defiant roar, brilliant blue flames exploded off Natsu's body, acting as makeshift thrusters. We can't let this Lacrima hit Extalia. Wendy and Carla are there. All my friends are in that Lacrima. Mira Jane is in that thing. Dig deep. Use every ounce of strength you have, damn it. Natsu. Hearing someone call out his name, the pink-haired Dragon Slayer looked up and saw Happy flying toward him. Reaching Natsu's side, Happy looked slightly bewildered. What do you want me to do? Ha! Natsu chuckled with a smirk as he nodded toward a spot beside him, just far enough away that Happy wouldn't get hurt by his flames. Give me a hand, partner. Aye, sir. Happy cheered, quickly flying down and pushing against the island next to the pink-haired Dragon Slayer. We can do this, Natsu. Ah, damn it. Gadgiel growled before he began to run toward the edge of the floating island. We'll have to take a rain check, Black Cat. Are you really running away? Panther Lily growled as he glared at Gadgiel, watching as the Iron Dragon Slayer leaped over the island's edge. Stay and fight me. I'm not running or hiding. Gadgiel yelled, falling for several feet before landing on the Legion's back. After composing himself, Gadgiel sprinted forward and began to push against the floating island as well. I'll settle things with you once we stop this damn thing. Stop. Do you seriously think you can stop this huge floating island? Panther Lily exclaimed as he ran to the edge of the island, looking down at the fairy tale mages. It's pointless. We're all going to die here. Gee, we'll see about that. Gadgiel said with a fong-filled smirk, the floating island drawing closer and closer to the edge of Extalia. When this is all over, I'm bringing you back to the guild, even if I have to drag you by your tail. Then, you're gonna be my cat, Jihi. It's not gonna work. Coco screamed as she looked back, seeing that Extalia was only a couple of feet away now. It's gonna hit. We can do it. Natsu roared, the flames cloaking his body, intensifying as images of all his friends and loved ones flashed through his mind. An explosive crack rang out as the vibrant blue flames exploded off Natsu's body. Loose. Urza. I need your help. Use my magic too. Right. Natsu's mates exclaimed as their mate marks began to glow vibrantly, a comforting and pleasurable warmth spreading through their bodies. Running up next to Natsu, both Lucy and Urza got on either side of the pink-haired dragon slayer and began to push against the floating island as well. A split second later, Lucy and Urza's bodies were engulfed in roaring orange flames. Then, in a brilliant display of power and beauty, Natsu, Lucy, and Urza's flames combined with a thunderous bang, creating a wall of roaring purple fire. The combined force of the flames managed to slow down the floating island greatly, but not stop it entirely. Despite the fairy tale mage's efforts, within moments, the floating island was less than 10 feet away from Extalia. Gajiel. Urza growled, the muscles in her arms burning as she put every bit of strength she had into trying to stop the floating island. Why can't you turn everyone back to normal like you did with Gray and me? Because that huge black cat is in my way. Gajiel exclaimed as he grunted in exertion, sweat pouring off his brow. And even if he wasn't, it would take too damn long. After a particularly violent burst of flames, the Iron Dragon Slayer ducked his head out of the way to avoid them. Oi! Watch those damn flames, goddammit! They're really fucking hot. TCH, even with all that spectacle, your efforts are still pointless. Panther Lily muttered, slowly shaking his head as he watched the fairy tale mage's vain efforts. However, Lily's eyes widened in surprise when he noticed an additional person that was also atop the Legion. You, what are you doing here? Oh, hey, Lily. Coco said with a strained smile as she used her legs to push against the floating island. So, you finally noticed me. Haha, I don't really need infinite magic. I'd much rather everyone just live together happily. What the hell are you blabbering on about? Panther Lily spat, baring his fangs as he gazed down at the young girl. Hurry and get away from here. We won't be able to stop this island, no matter what we do. We're gonna stop it. Natsu roared as the flames coursing off his body suddenly boomed with a burst of intensity. Even if my body is torn to pieces, I'll stop this damn thing with my very soul. Why are they going through all this effort, even though it's pointless? Panther Lily thought, watching each of the fairy tale mages give everything they had in order to try and stop the floating island from crashing into Extalia. Just give up and save yourselves. Same time, on Extalia. Dear! Marl exclaimed in a panic as she watched a floating island with a giant lacrima atop it begin to crash into the ground just at the edge of their farmlands. You should really come out here. Kaah. What the hell's all the noise going on out here? Lucky yelled, storming outside and rushing toward Marl's side. However, he stopped dead in his tracks when he saw what had gotten Marl so worried. What the hell is that thing? All across Extalia alarms were blaring and some panic was starting to set in as the Exceed began to realize that they truly were being attacked by the humans of Edolas. The Exceed that had surrounded Wendy and Carla now turned their attention toward the giant lacrima barreling toward them. However, despite the potentially dangerous situation, many of the Exceed didn't seem to be fazed or concerned. The humans really are attacking us. They're really going against us, Exceed. Those arrogant humans know nothing of the Queen's power. I think it's about time we make them understand once and for all. It'll happen any time now. The Queen will wipe them all out with her magic. But, I'd rather she do it sooner rather than later. There's nothing to worry about. We've got the Queen behind us. The lacrima hit. Wendy breathed out, the poisonous mist flowing off her body slowly starting to dissipate. Is this the end? It's not over yet. Carla exclaimed as she pointed toward the lacrima that was moving at only a snail's pace. It's pretty much stopped at the island's edge. We can't give up yet. Whipping around, Carla turned to face the crowd of gathered Exceed once again. Everyone, you have to listen. TCH, you're still here, Fallen One. Get lost. One of the Exceed scoffed, before picking up another stone and hurling at Carla. However, the Exceed was surprised when Wendy snatched the stone and crushed it to pieces in her hand. This action immediately stopped any other would-be stone throwers. Please, please. Everyone stop. Naughty yelled as he ran out in front of Wendy and Carla, frantically waving his arms about. These people tried to inform us of the danger. But none of us even tried to listen to them. We should really give them a chance. Ha! No way. As long as we have the Queen's magic, we'll be fine. We're not scared at all. Naughty began to stammer nervously, rapidly pumping his fist into the air. Please, there's. That's enough, Naughty. A regal and elegant voice spoke up, instantly silencing everyone in the crowd. Turning around, all of the gathered Exceed gasped in awe when they saw their queen, Shagat, standing before them. Almost instantly, pretty much all of the Exceed bowed before their queen. The queen had white fur and gray eyes, with diamond patterns dotted around them, as well as a piercing on her left ear. Her outfit was a flowing, multi-layered dress with excessive ruffles on the back. But with her flamboyant garb, very little could be seen of the rest of her appearance. The time has come. Why, Your Highness? Naughty yelped in a panic as he immediately fell to his knees and bowed his head. I sincerely apologize for the disrespect. Everyone, please raise your heads. Shagat said with a sad smile, lowering her own head slightly. Now please, calm down and listen to my words. Why is the Queen here of all places? I bet she's about to unleash some crazy destructive magic. SHHHH. Be quiet, you idiots. At this very moment, Extalia is in danger of being destroyed. We can no longer avoid our fate. Shagat continued as she paused for a brief moment, before taking a brief breath to calm herself. Therefore, I have made up my mind about something very important. Are you going to exterminate the humans? We'll finally put them in their place. Oi! Shut the hell up and listen to what the Queen is saying. No. Nothing like that. Shagat said, beginning to shed her lavish and extravagant robes. All the Exceed present were shocked to see their queen dropping all of her shining jewelry and fancy clothes onto the grounds. I have decided to tell you all the truth. I am but a mere Exceed. Several of the Exceed gasped when Shagat spread her wings, revealing that she was missing one. Not a queen, and certainly no god. I am an Exceed, the same as all of you. I have no secret power in which to fight against the humans. Seeing the shocked look on her subjects' faces, Shagat hung her head in shame. I am deeply sorry for hiding this from you all. So, this is the Queen of Extalia. Wendy thought as she let out a slow exhale, the poison surrounding her completely fading away. While the blue-haired dragon slayer's poison may have dissipated, her poison sky transformation remained. She's not what I was expecting. Wendy-san and Carla-san, was it? Shagat asked, now addressing the fairy tale mages directly. I must apologize to both of you as well. This is all my fault. Please do not hold any grudges against everyone else here. Turning to face the blue-haired dragon slayer, Shagat smiled softly. I must say, I admire how you protected your friend Wendy-san. And I thank you for showing restraint and not attacking any of the Exceed. I'd do anything to protect my friends. Wendy said as she kneeled down next to Carla, gently patting the white-furred cat's head. Now, what did you mean earlier when you said that this was your fault? No. An elderly Exceed said, stepping forward from behind Shagat. The responsibility falls upon us elders who created the illusion of our all-powerful queen. We're a very weak race, and long ago humans used to do horrible things to us. That's why, in order to protect ourselves, we made the humans think we had some incredible powers. And in order for all Exceeds to regain their confidence, we even made all of Extalia believe in the power of God. Humans who didn't believe at first eventually came to embrace and fear the power of God. Another elder with a large beard chimed in, stepping forward on Shagat's other side. But there really was no powerful God, it was all a bluff we Exceed created. We truly only have one power, and that is Shagat's slight ability to see the future. She can often see the deaths of humans. We made the humans believe that those humans were being killed due to the Queen's decisions. No. It has to be a lie. Our Queen is a god. Hurry and kill the humans. Sophist. Carla muttered as she tightly balled her fists. Wendy was about to speak up and stop Carla, but the white-furred cat quickly spoke up. Whether or not you have incredible powers, you ordered us to kill our friends. And that is the truth. Shagat never gave such an order. The first elder exclaimed, stomping his cane onto the ground in frustration. It was probably made up by some humans abusing the Queen's dash. No, it wasn't. Carla shouted as she cut the elder off, gritting her teeth in anger. Memories were implanted in my mind, my actions were being controlled. You ordered me to massacre the dragon slayers. From before I was even born. That's... Shagat said barely above a whisper, turning her head away and rubbing her arm. And no, she didn't. Nadi exclaimed as he dashed in front of Shagat. There's a long, complicated story behind this. I don't care what your damn story is. Carla yelled, causing Shagat to flinch slightly at her harsh tone. I'll never forgive her. Carla. Wendy hissed as she reached out and placed a comforting hand on the white-furred cat's shoulder. That's enough. Let's not talk about that right now. No, it's exactly as you say, Carla-san. Shagat said, before unsheathing a small sword and tossing it in front of Carla. You are innocent, and I hurt you the most. Kneeling down, Shagat lowered her head. All the Exceed began to cry out to their queen, begging her to stop and raise her head. Please, judge my sins with your own hand. As one who loves both humans and Exceed, you have that right. Carla. Wendy said as she stared down at her oldest friend. What are you going to do? Carla said nothing in reply, instead bending down and picking up the sword. By now, the other Exceed were beginning to panic, most of them being split on whether to leave for safety or stay on Extalia. Slowly, Carla began to walk toward Shagat. No, you all must leave. Shagat shouted as tears formed in the corners of her eyes. This country is destined to die. You can't just throw away your lives. Don't just give up before you even try to save yourselves. Carla exclaimed, surprising everyone as she slammed the sword into the ground in front of Shagat. This is your country, isn't it? Are you completely incapable of doing anything without your god or queen? How can you give up so easily? It's okay to be weak. If we all combine our strength together, we can make it. This country won't be destroyed. By now tears were streaming down Carla's cheeks. This is my homeland after all. I don't want it to disappear. Spreading her wings, Carla took off racing toward the giant lacrima. I won't give up so easily. I will stop that thing no matter what it takes. Carla! Wendy exclaimed as she watched her partner fly off, before letting out a heavy sigh and frowning. You could have at least brought me with you. I'll go back her up. Nadi said with a smile, sniffling several times as he tried in vain to fight back his tears. Because I love this country too. Back with Natsu. Rei-o-ahag. Natsu roared as he mashed his face against the floating island, the flames flowing off his body getting another minor boost of power. Move, you son of a bitch. They're getting closer. Lucy exclaimed, feeling Natsu's magic starting to gradually peter out. They're about to smash together. Stand firm, everyone. Gray yelled as he stood next to Gajeel, both mages giving it their all to try and push back the floating island. We have to stop it from hitting. We're going to stop this thing no matter what. Urza shouted in a strained voice, also feeling Natsu's magic beginning to fade away. Don't give in. Growling. It's useless. Panther Lily growled as he looked down at fairy tale mages, watching them continue to struggle. I keep trying to tell you that this is not possible with mere human strength. It's not just human strength. A new voice called out, moments before Carla flew into the floating island next to Happy and began to push against it as well. We're not gonna give up. Fairy tale. Extalia. We'll protect both of them. A few seconds later, Carla was surprised when Naughty slammed into the island next to her. What are you doing here? Naya, I want to protect Extalia too. Naughty replied as he gestured back in the direction he had flown in from. Looking back, both Happy and Carla were shocked to see a massive flock of Exceed flying toward them, with Wendy being carried by one of them. I'm sure everyone else feels the same way. We need to protect our own country. For the sake of our queen who's braved perils to continue to protect this country and its people. Wendy-san. Carla-san. We're sorry about before. We should have listened to you. Everyone. Let's all work together and stop this. Wendy exclaimed, pushing against the island next to Lucy as she unleashed a burst of wind. We can definitely do it if we all work together. Shagat. It's impossible for you with that wing. One of the elders called out as he watched Extalia's queen struggle to stay in the air. Let everyone else help instead. No. I can't. Shagat said, gritting her teeth as she used all her strength just to slowly move forward, sweat dripping off her brow. This is something I have to do. We all have to do what we can to help. I must be seeing things. Lucky said as he rubbed his eyes, standing on the edge of his farmland. Or I'm having some crazy dream. Is Extalia really united? Marl gasped, watching as the horde of Exceed all joined together. I never thought I'd see the day. Panther Lily said nothing as he gazed at the amazing display, thinking back to the day he had been banished from Extalia. Lily. Why would you save a human child? It was badly wounded, I couldn't just dash. Panther Lily tried to reason as he clutched the baby in his arms. Idiot. It's highly inappropriate to bring something like that to Extalia. But, even if it's a human, there's no way I could ignore an injured creature. Lily explained, lowering his head and gazing down at the child he was holding. Please, just let me dash. Have you forgotten the laws of Extalia, Lily? You are hereby banished from Extalia as a fallen angel. What? Lily exclaimed in shock, gazing at Shagat and taking note of the saddened look on her face. For something like this? Shagat. One of the elders exclaimed as he watched the queen begin to plummet toward the ground, her one good wing finally giving out. Wah-ah! Shagat screamed, desperately trying to correct herself and start flying once again. But despite her efforts, Shagat continued to fall. However, she was surprised when it felt like someone had caught her. Looking up, Shagat was shocked by who had saved her. Lily? Your Majesty. Lily said as he flew Shagat higher into the air, safely carrying her in his arms. Has manipulating fate tired you out? Lily, I'm... Shagat said, feeling an immense sense of guilt. I'm so sorry. Me too. Lily said as tears began to sting his eyes, some falling down his cheeks. No matter how much I may despise it, Extalia is my homeland. Stopping a safe distance away, Lily gazed at the floating island and everyone trying to stop it. But it's too late, even with this massive Exceed, it can't be stopped. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I should have stopped it. I should have stopped the humans. There is no need for tears, Lily. Shagat said with a small smile, leaning forward and gently embracing Panther Lily. I truly appreciate your feelings. Don't give up. Everyone keep pushing. Natsu roared as he felt his muscles burning, using every ounce of strength he had in his body. We can do this. Please stop it. Wendy exclaimed, another rush of wind bursting off her body. Push with all your might. They really should just dash. Panther Lily was cut off by an echoing bang as he witnessed something that he couldn't believe. Little by little, the floating island began to get pushed away from Extalia. The Lacrima, it's being forced back. With their combined might, the forces of Extalia and Fairy Tale finally began to move the floating island. However, they didn't push the island 50 feet away from Extalia before something completely unexpected happened. With a blinding flash and thunderous crack, a beam of light pierced through the floating island. Then, in an instant, all of the Exceed and Fairy Tale mages were blown back and off the legion they were standing on. All of the Fairy Tale mages in Coco were caught by the various Exceed, keeping them afloat in the air. Once they had regained their composure, everyone was shocked to see that the giant Lacrima had vanished. The Lacrima! Natsu exclaimed in a panic, immediately worrying for his friend's safety. Where the hell did it go? It's returned to Earthland. A new voice explained, which caught everyone present off guard. Turning around, the Fairy Tale mages were shocked to see Mystigan standing atop a large bird-like creature. I apologize for arriving so late. I was searching for the vestiges of the giant anima in order to send everything back. And we wouldn't have made it without all of your strength. For that, I must thank you. Mystigan. Natsu said, staring at his old friend in surprise. What do you mean you sent it all back? It's exactly as I said, Pinky. Jalal said as he pulled down his mask, a small smirk spreading across his face. Using the anima once again, the Lacrima has been sent back to Earthland in its original form. It's all over. Your friends are safe now. We did it. Natsu exclaimed in a relieved tone, pumping his fists into the air. This declaration was immediately followed by tears of happiness and cheering from all the Exceed and Fairy Tale mages. We saved Extalia and protected everyone. Great job, guys. Lily, this is the life you saved. Jalal said with a small smile as he gazed at the large, black-furred cat. After a few moments, Panther Lily's eyes widened in realization, recognizing that Jalal was the child he had saved all those years ago. I'm glad to have protected your homeland. Yes, thank you. Lily said, tears forming in his eyes as he gazed up at Jalal. Your Highness. The prince has returned. Coco said as she gasped, clasping a hand over her mouth. He was missing for so long. Prince? Natsu exclaimed, his eyes shooting open in utter shock as his head snapped toward Jalal. This prick is a prince? You have to be shitting me. However, the victory celebration was cut short when a loud crack sounded out. Then, everyone present was shocked when a beam of energy suddenly pierced through Lily's chest. Coughing up a mouthful of blood, Lily clutched at the smoking hole in his chest. Moments later, Lily's wings gave out and he began to fall rapidly. Not yet. A furious voice roared from behind Panther Lily. The Exceed and Fairy Tale mages were caught off guard when they spotted Urza Nightwalker soaring toward them, leading a flock of Imperial soldiers riding legions. This isn't over yet. Nightwalker? Natsu exclaimed as he watched the Edo Urza race toward them, her eyes alight with burning rage. Give me a damn break. You bitch, how dare you? Gajil growled, glaring fiercely at Nightwalker. That's my damn cat. Someone, please save Lily. Shagat exclaimed in fear as she watched the black plummet toward the ground below. He can't die. Leave it to me. One of Shagat's aides called out, racing after Panther Lily. Scarlet. Nightwalker roared as she pointed her spear at Earthland Urza, glaring fiercely at the scarlet-haired knight. I'm coming for you next. Nightwalker. Urza muttered, her eyes narrowing slightly as she gazed at her Idalos counterpart. Don't you know when to give up? Do you intend to point your blade at me, Prince of Idalos? Jalal said as he locked eyes with Nightwalker, noticing her flinch ever so slightly and grit her teeth. Urza Nightwalker. I don't consider a brat like you to be my son. Faust's enraged voice echoed out, startling all of the Exceed and Fairy Tale mages. That bastard's voice. Natsu snarled as he frantically scanned around the area. Where the hell is he? Show yourself, you piece of shit. After hiding away in the shadows for 7 years, now you return out of thin air? I am well aware that you were traveling around Earthland, closing up the anima. You're nothing but a traitor. Your anima plan has failed. Jalal said, releasing a light sigh as he slowly looked around and tried to pinpoint where Fozzie was. This battle is pointless now, isn't it? Pointless? This battle needs a point, you say? This is no mere battle. This is retribution against those who stand against the king. This will be an extermination. After searching for several minutes, the fairy tale mages and Exceed were finally able to find Faust's location. But they were not prepared for what they saw. On the ground below appeared to be a magical, armored, mechanical dragon, its eyes glowing red menacingly. If you intend to stand in my way any further, I will erase you from existence. There won't even be the faintest trace left behind. Father, Jalal said, feeling a chill run down his spine as he gazed at the monstrous machine. What are you doing? I am not your father, boy. I am the king of Idolas. Come to think of it, if I just kill you here, the person closing the anima in Earthland will be gone. I can create more giant lacrima and fuse them with the Exceed as much as I please. Wahahaha. Nothing is impossible before the king's power. The power of the king is absolute. Dorma anim. Several of the Exceed breathed out in fear, many of them starting to shake and tremble. Dorma anim. Jalal explained as he turned to gaze at the fairy tale mages, seeing the shocked expressions on their faces. In the language of this world, it means Dragon Knight. It has the reinforced armor of a dragon. Dragon! Natsu parroted, staring at the ferocious-looking machine as his brow furrowed slightly. I guess it does kind of look like one, but Igneal and Valor were way cooler. It's a mage canceller, a man-machine that negates any magic coming from the outside. Coco explained as her legion hovered above the Dorma Anim. His Majesty is inside the Dorma Anim piloting it. Go my army! Capture the Exceed! This is really bad! Jalal exclaimed, whipping around to face the frightened Exceed. You all need to run for it. Now! Don't let them escape! Nightwalker ordered as she gestured toward the fleeing and panicked Exceed. Immediately, the Idolas soldiers began to use magical weapons that fired beams of intense, focused light. Whenever an Exceed was struck by this light, they were instantly transformed into a cat-shaped lacrima crystal. Capture them all! Everyone run! Shagat exclaimed, trying to free herself from one of the elders' grasp as she desperately attempted to lead her subjects. You must survive. We've got to protect the Exceed from the royal army. Urza said as the fairy tale mages all regrouped atop Coco's legion. We should pursue Nightwalker's group. Right, we can't let these assholes capture the Exceed. Natsu said, approaching Lucy and Urza. You both used up my magic earlier, and we're probably about to get into a big battle, so I'll give you both a refill. Are you sure, Natsu? Lucy asked as she quirked an eyebrow, examining her mate from head to toe. Aren't you going to need this magic as well? You should save it all for yourself. I'd feel better if you had some, just in case. Natsu replied, reaching out and gently squeezing Lucy and Urza's shoulders. Both of Natsu's mates glanced at each other before they nodded their heads. Smiling brightly, the pink-haired dragon slayer pulled Lucy and Urza close, causing their faces to flush slightly. All right, let's do this fast. We don't have any time to waste. Leaning in close, Natsu first sank his fangs into Urza's neck, piercing her mate Mark. A faint moan escaped the scarlet-haired knight's throat as she felt Natsu's magic flood her body, causing her to feel an intensely warm and tingling sensation. As Natsu's magic was replenished, Urza's mate Mark gradually began to glow brighter and brighter. After a few more moments, Natsu pulled his fangs free and licked the spot he had bit into, helping to stop the bleeding. Urza was panting lightly as she reached up and gently caressed her mate Mark. Now that Urza was finished, Natsu moved on to Lucy, repeating the same process with her. The other people present watched the strange display with mixed emotions, ranging from embarrassment to complete confusion. Ugh, I hate watching Salamander getting frisky. Dadjil grumbled as he rested his head on his palm, his cheeks reddening slightly suddenly. I wonder if Levy would ever let me do something like that with her. He's doing that again? This time with 2 girls? Coco muttered, turning her head away from the strange scene. People from Earthland are so weird. I wonder how that feels. Wendy thought as she began to fidget slightly, feeling a strange ache run through her body. I bet it feels amazing. There, all done. Natsu said, wiping his lips as he stepped away from Lucy and Urza, both girls looking quite satisfied. Alright, let's get going. What are we gonna do about that huge thing down there? Gray asked as he gazed down at the Dorma Anim, watching as the fearsome machine rampaged around. I don't that bastard is going to just sit back and let us mess with his plans. It's useless to just fight against the Dorma Anim since magic won't work on it. Coco explained, glancing back at the fairy tale mages. We'll need a different plan. It can't be avoided, we have to go. Jalal exclaimed as he reached onto his back and grabbed one of his staves. The Exceed are defenseless right now. We need to protect them. Let's get going then. Coco cheered, her legion racing toward the fleeing Exceed and Imperial soldiers chasing after them. We'll catch up to them in no time. None of you are going to escape. You will all perish. Faust's furious voice echoed out as the Dorma Anim began to gather a massive amount of magical energy. Moments later, the draconic machine fired a massive beam of magical energy. Disappear! Within seconds, the beam of energy closed distance, its bright light nearly blinding. All the fairy tale mages looked on in horror, having no idea how to escape the situation or stop Faust's attack. However, they were all surprised when the beam of magical energy never hit. Gazing out, the fairy tale mages were shocked to see that Mystigan had been the one to block the attack, all of his magical staves forming a defensive barrier. Natsu! Go now, while you have the chance. Jalal yelled, his voice barely carrying over the roaring magical energy. I don't know how much dash. Magic does not work on Dorma Anim. After this declaration, the beam of magical energy broke through Mystigan's barrier, hitting him directly. Gasping in pain, Mystigan's unmoving body plummeted, slamming into the ground below. Writhing in the dirt suits you. You should die there on the ground, just like that. Once again, the Dorma Anim aimed its cannon at the fairy tale mages still in the air. You pains in my ass are next. Shit. We've got to avoid that thing. Gray exclaimed as he watched the Dorma Anim charge up another shot. Fighting it is out of the question. You're all going to dash. Faust was cut off when something suddenly slammed into the Dorma Anim, engulfing the machine in a scorching blue inferno. Alarms blared and warning lights flashed as damage alerts began to pop up in front of Faust, causing him to gasp in shock. The King of Edolos began to sweat as the cockpit began to rapidly heat up. What the hell? Before Faust could figure out what was happening, another attack slammed into the Dorma Anim's stomach, briefly lifting the hulking machine off the ground. Another series of warnings appeared and Faust began to panic. Who is inflicting damage upon my magic-proof Dorma Anim? Poison Sky Dragons. Faust's eyes widened in shock when he spotted the small, blue-haired dragon slayer from Fairy Tale appear in front of him. Inhaling deeply, Wendy unleashed a massive tornado of wind and poisonous gas. Roar! The force behind Wendy's attack sent the Dorma Anim skidding backward several feet. Faust let out a panicked gasp when he noticed slight traces of Wendy's poisonous gas leaking into the cockpit. Frantically pressing buttons and pulling levers, Faust quickly sealed every part of the Dorma Anim to stop any more gas from leaking in. Growling in frustration, Faust whipped the menacing machine around to face his attackers. Hey, that was pretty good, Wendy. Natsu said with a smirk, cracking his knuckles as orange electricity crackled off his hands. You're gotten much stronger. Thanks, but... Wendy said before she grunted lightly, landing back on the ground in front of the pink-haired dragon slayer. You both inflicted more damage. Don't knock yourself, kid. Salamander is right, that was a mean fucking attack. Gajiel chimed in, teasingly patting Wendy on the head. Turning to face the Dorma Anim, Gajiel's red eyes narrowed dangerously. You bastard, how dare you hurt my cat? You guys... Lucy exclaimed as she gazed down at the three dragon slayers, still riding atop Coco's legion. What are you doing? Go. Natsu replied, tightly balling his fists as electricity began to crackle in the air around him. Protect the cats. Will the three of them be alright? Gray muttered, watching Fairy Tail's dragon slayers stare down the Dorma Anim. That thing looks pretty damn tough. There's no need to worry, Urza said with a small smile as she felt a comforting sensation radiate from her mate Mark. Their opponent is a dragon. They're the only ones who can defeat it. It's time for our dragon slayers to go on the hunt. Let's do this, Salamander, Gadgiel said, punching his fist into his palm. This bastard needs to get his ass kicked. Heh, I've been itching to fight with you again, Gadgiel, Natsu said with a smirk as he rolled his shoulders, preparing for the undoubtedly tough fight ahead. The last time we did was when Laxus attacked the guild. You fucking brats. I'll blow you all to pieces. The Dorma Anim's mouth opening to fire another attack. I'll support you both in attack when I can, Wendy said, her hands starting to glow with magical power. Natsu and Gadgiel nodded at each before they began to charge toward the mechanical dragon. Oh swift winds which run across the heavens, Vernier. Instantly, both Natsu and Gadgiel's bodies were coated in glowing blue magical power as they were boosted by Wendy's enchantment. With Wendy's magical power coursing through them, Natsu and Gadgiel got an immense speed boost, allowing them to easily dodge Faust's attack. Zipping around at an incredible speed, Natsu and Gadgiel hit the Dorma Anim simultaneously with devastating attacks. Faust grit his teeth in frustration as he watched his screens distort as the Dorma Anim was flooded with powerful electricity. This Dorma Anim, which is supposed to be immune to magic, is taking a slight amount of damage? How is this possible? Damn, this thing is hard. Gadgiel growled as he retracted his metallic arm, returning it to normal. It feels like my attacks are practically bouncing off it. Oh, ye power to rip apart the heavens? Wendy chanted, raising her hands into the air as she boosted Natsu and Gadgiel with another enchantment. Arms. As they were hit with the enchantment, both Natsu and Gadgiel were surprised by the effects they were feeling. This enchantment will raise your attack power. So, hit it with everything you've got. Sounds good to me, Natsu exclaimed with a massive grin as he rushed forward, orange lightning coursing off his entire body. Lightning Dragon's Static Fist. With the power boost from Wendy's enchantment, the pink-haired Dragon Slayer attack power was drastically increased, sending the Dorma Anim skidding backward. Ha! How'd you like that, you bastard? Damn it! I understand now. That little brat is the main issue. Fire Dragon Missiles. Pods all along the Dorma Anim's back and tail opened up, firing a barrage of missiles at the blue-haired Dragon Slayer. Shit! Natsu exclaimed, whipping around as he watched the missiles race toward Wendy. I need to dash. I'll be fine, Natsu, Wendy said in a determined tone as her entire body was enveloped in a light glow. Vernier. Casting a speed enchantment on herself, Wendy leapt away from the missiles, quickly getting away from them. However, Wendy was surprised when the missiles suddenly changed course and began to chase after her. They're homing missiles. Wendy did her best to keep running away from the missiles, dodging and weaving around them. But, the blue-haired Dragon Slayer wasn't used to the enhanced speed Vernier gave her. So, after leaping back once again, Wendy ended up tripping over some uneven ground. Yelping in surprise, Wendy grunted as she fell to the ground. Quickly trying to scramble back onto her feet, Wendy's eyes widened in fear when she saw that the missiles were only a few feet away. I've got you, Wendy, Natsu exclaimed, sticking one of the missiles with his electrified fist, causing it to short-circuit and fall to the ground. Standing protectively in front of Wendy, the pink-haired Dragon Slayer placed his palms on the ground as a massive amount of electricity began to shroud his body. A growl rumbled in Natsu's throat as he watched the rest of the missiles rapidly approach. However, before the missiles could hit their target, a massive burst of orange electricity exploded off Natsu's body, hitting all the missiles simultaneously and disabling them. Lightning Dragon's Static EMP. Thank you, Natsu, Wendy said with a bright smile as the pink-haired Dragon Slayer helped her back onto her feet. I was in a real tough spot there. You damned brats. We're not done yet. Following Faust's declaration, more missile pods along the Dorma Anim's neck opened up. Like hell, I'd let you launch any more missiles. Gajil yelled, transforming his arm into an iron staff and destroying the launching pods. I'm getting real sick of your shit, old man. The arrogance. Whipping the Dorma Anim around, Faust hit Gajil with the machine's tail, sending the Iron Dragon Slayer flying backward. Raising one of his mechanical arms, Faust fired 2 more missiles from the Dorma Anim's palm. Just die, you impertinent brats. Watch out, Natsu. Wendy exclaimed as she watched the pink-haired Dragon Slayer charge toward the missiles. Those two are different. I know. Natsu said with a smirk, coming to a skidding stop as he let the missiles fly toward him. When the missiles were only a few feet away, their ignitions cut out and they began to glow brightly. Here it comes. Yes. Burn in holy hellfire. Faust began to laugh manically as he watched the missiles explode in a roaring inferno, completely engulfing Natsu. However, Faust was stunned when he noticed the flames begin to swirl around and slowly dissipate. His eyes widened in shock when he realized that Natsu was actually eating the fire. Am my flames? What the hell is happening? Suddenly, alarms began to blare in the cockpit and Faust brought up a monitor to see what the problem was. When he realized what the alarm was for, he slammed his fist onto the control panel in front of him. And now that black-haired bastard is eating my tail. This is bullshit. You Earthland mages are cheating. Phew, thanks for the meal. Natsu said, wiping his mouth as he exhaled a thin trail of smoke. This thing is strong, it ain't called a dragon for nothing. Bah! This thing doesn't have shit on a real dragon. Gajil scoffed as he crossed his arms over his chest. When we're finished, this thing will be nothing but a pile of scrap metal. It's strange though. Wendy said, glaring at the menacing machine that towered over them. For the king of country to have no backup, he sure does have a lot of self-confidence. Either way, I'm all fired up. Natsu exclaimed with a toothy grin as he punched his fist into his palm, creating a small burst of blue flames. Let's take this bastard down. So, these are dragon slayers. Faust thought, tightly gripping the Dorma Anim's controls. But a twisted smirk soon spread across Faust's face as he reached out and pressed a large red button in the center of the control panel. However, that is precisely why I need their power. Oh, what the hell is this? Natsu groaned in annoyance as he watched the Dorma Anim begin to transform. The machine changed from its original silver color to black and seemed to gain a dramatic power increase in armor and weapon artillery. Damn it! I hate when these assholes have a second phase power-up. If I have these dragon slayers, I can re-implement the anima plan. For the sake of the eternal magical power, I'll enslave these dragon slayers. No! They are mere weapons, not people. I am simply seizing them. And it can't be helped if the parts get a bit damaged in the process. Faust thought as the newly enhanced Dorma Anim let out a ferocious roar. First of all, I will extinguish your fighting spirit. With the overwhelming power of the Black Sky Dorma Anim. Same time, with Mystigan. Sorry, Natsu, Wendy. Jalal said, leaning against a tree as he watched the Dragon Slayers face off against the Dorma Anim several hundred feet away. I'm in no shape to help you right now. Your Highness. Panther Lily said as he approached Jalal, leaning against Chagad's aid for support. What's the meaning of this? You allowed yourself to be hit by Faust's attack. Instead of saying anything, Jalal merely smiled in response and Lily seemed to understand what he meant. Don't tell me, you did it in order to save me? Are your injuries all right? Jalal asked in a sympathetic tone, stepping toward Lily. You took a nasty hit. This really isn't anything to dash. Lily stopped mid-sentence as he grunted in pain, gripping his bandaged stomach. I suppose I'll still need some more time to recover. We've got no choice but to leave the Dorma Anim to Natsu's group. Jalal said as he gestured toward the battle happening in the distance, just as an explosion rang out followed by a bright flash of light. But we're not just going to stand around doing nothing. We've got another job to do. Another job to do? Lily repeated in a confused tone, quirking an eyebrow. What are you talking about? I'll explain along the way, Jalel said with a small smile as he began to walk away. Now come on, I'm gonna need your help, Lily. Same time, with Urza and Lucy. Look, it's the royal army, Urza exclaimed, pointing toward a horde of legion in front of them. We've finally caught up with them. But there are so many of them, Lucy said as she balled her fists, feeling a pang of worry about their odds. What are we going to do? We have no choice but to push forward, Urza replied, unsheathing her sword. If we don't stop them, the Exceed will be exterminated. I've been waiting for you, Scarlet, Nightwalker said with a smirk as she suddenly appeared in front of the fairy tale mages, standing atop her legion. I'll make you pay for humiliating me in our previous fight. Waiting, shit. Don't tell me, Urza exclaimed, looking over the side of their legion at the ground below. Her eyes widened in shock when she spotted several flashes of light. This is bad. It's an ambush. Everyone hold on. Moments later, Coco's legion was struck by over a dozen beams of magical energy. The massive beast roared in pain as it began to rapidly descend toward the ground. The fairy tale mages did their best to hold on but were eventually flung off the legion. Luckily, they were saved by Happy and Carla, who managed to grab them out of the air. We have to make sure they die, Nightwalker yelled as her legion began dive toward the fairy tale mages. We're going after them. Flying with two people is impossible. Carla grunted, struggling to stay afloat as she held onto Gray and Coco. So, damn, heavy. You're pretty heavy too, Lucy. Happy groaned as he puffed out his cheeks, his arms straining. Glancing down at the blonde celestial spirit mage's massive breasts, Happy rolled his eyes. And I think I know why. Oi! Shut the hell up, you damned cat! Lucy shouted, her face flushing bright red as she used her arms to cover up her chest. I am not that heavy. Taking a breath to calm herself down, Lucy finally noticed that someone seemed to be missing. Hey, where Urza? We've got them now, Nightwalker said with a devious smirk as her forces closed in on the fairy tale mages. However, before she could finish off the Earthland mages, a scream rang out from the legion next to her. Looking over, Nightwalker was surprised to see the mighty beast roaring in pain as it began to descend toward the ground. Nightwalker's eyes then widened in shock when she that it was Urza Scarlet who had taken the legion out. With a swift series of attacks, Urza took out two more of Nightwalker's soldiers. What the hell? Shall we put an end to this, Nightwalker? Urza asked, leaping toward the legion Nightwalker was riding. I grow tired of these games. Everyone descend toward the ground below, Nightwalker ordered as her soldiers began to dive toward the ground. I'll handle this bitch myself. You've wounded an endangered fairy tale for the last time, Urza said as her armor began to vanish, re-equipping into a new set. There's no need for two Urzas. Once the light surrounding Urza's body had died down, she was now donned in her Armadura fairy armor. This dual-tone armor was composed of a simple pink breastplate joined to the collar, which sported a heart, centered between two wing-shaped epaulets. The pauldrons were structured by two pink plates, faintly shaped like wings, consecutively surmounted by one another and pointed downwards. They were adorned by intricate ornamental wings on each pauldron. The gauntlets completely enveloped her arms and featured prominent feather-shaped decorations pointing backward in correspondence to her wrists. The waistguard was made up of plates attached to the breastplate, surrounded by a thin belt around Urza's waist, and had a short, pinkish-white skirt underneath covering her upper thighs. Her greaves reached up to the center of her bare thighs and possessed feather-like ornaments protruding from the upper edges of her greaves and the lower edges of her knee guards, which had similar motifs carved on them, and each sported a pair of small wings, one attached to the knee guard and one in correspondence to Urza's ankles. The armor was complemented by a large tiara adorning Urza's head, with feather-shaped protrusions jutting out horizontally, and a large purplish-white cape. In this outfit, Urza's hair was styled into a pair of braids that flowed down from the back of her head. This fight will never cease, Nightwalker exclaimed, gritting her teeth as her spear clashed with Urza's sword. Both scarlet-haired knights glared fiercely at each other as they fell into a deadlock. Until one of us is dead, Sounds good to me. Urza grunted as she raised her leg and kicked Nightwalker in the stomach, sending her skidding backward. Taking a deep breath and exhaling, Urza felt her mate Mark begin to heat up, Natsu's magic flowing into her body. Nightwalker's eyes widened in surprise as she watched Urza's body become cloaked in scorching flames and crackling electricity. You never got the chance to see this during our last fight. I think it's about that time I go all out. Won the ground below. Ow, ow, ow. Lucy groaned in discomfort as she stretched her back, feeling a couple of kinks work out as she got back onto her feet after having crash-landed. Looking back up, Lucy began to worry when she saw a burst of flames burst off Nightwalker's legion. I hope Urza is okay. She'll be Gray tried to reassure Lucy, but he was cut off when a beam of magical energy fired into the ground between him and Carla. Both Gray and Carla barely managed to leap out of the way in time to avoid the attack. Within seconds, Coco and the fairy tale mages were surrounded by Idola's Imperial soldiers. Enemies are here. However, Gray and Lucy were surprised to see that the Imperial soldiers only seemed to be targeting Happy and Carla with their attacks. Growling in frustration, Gray made a sweeping gesture with his arms, creating a wall of ice that knocked several of the soldiers back. Leave them alone, you bastards. These guys are seriously starting to piss me off. Lucy exclaimed as she lashed out with her whip, hitting several soldiers and sending them tumbling to the ground. Why the hell are they only targeting Happy and Carla? We've already turned most of the Exceed that ran away into Lacrima. One of the soldiers explained, pointing directly at Carla and Happy. Those two are the only ones remaining. Now stop running and obediently become our country's magical power. Never! Happy yelled as he tackled Carla, narrowly avoiding another beam of magical energy. We'll never let that happen. For your own selfish gains, you don't care about the Exceed at all. Gray breathed out, gritting his teeth in frustration. Slamming his palms onto the ground, Gray created a wave of icicles that crashed into a group of Imperial soldiers. How can humans in this world be so cruel? I'm not going to let you lay a hand on my friends. I'll back you up, Gray. Lucy exclaimed as she grabbed a celestial gate key off her ring, raising it into the air. Loke! Sorry to keep you waiting. Loke proclaimed, appearing in front of Lucy in a flash of golden light. With his fist glowing with magical power, Loke blasted away a group of Imperial soldiers. TCH, these guys are pushovers. Their only strength is their numbers. By now, Gray, Lucy, and even Coco were engaged in a full-scale battle with the Imperial soldiers. But it didn't seem to matter how many soldiers they took out, more just appeared to take their place. The entire time the others were fighting, Happy and Carla were busy avoiding beams of magical energy being aimed at them. Soon, the Imperial soldiers brought out weapons that rapidly fired magical bullets. But the soldiers were haphazardly firing their weapons, with one of the shots flying toward an unaware Happy. However, before the startled Exceed could get hit, he was shocked when Carla leapt in front of him and shielded him from the bullet. Carla! Happy cried out in a worried tone as he rushed over and crouched down next to the white-furred cat. What were you thinking? You should have just let that hit me. Damn it, I hit one of the Exceed. You idiot! They're going to be our magical power soon. Shit! There's just too many of them. Loke exclaimed, blasting away another group of Imperial soldiers, only for another batch to immediately take their place. There's no end in sight. Ugh! Lucy grunted as she fell onto one knee, trying to catch her breath. I'm practically out of magical power. Reaching up, Lucy placed a hand on her mate Mark. And I'm too exhausted to use Natsu's power, I'll pass out before I even get a chance to use it. We're not finished yet. Gray yelled, punching his fist into his palm as he prepared to unleash another volley of ice. However, he was stopped when he heard what sounded like crashing footsteps come from the nearby tree line. Whipping around, Gray was shocked to see several massive legion towering over him. What the foo dash? The group of legion lunged forward, Loke and Gray barely managed to avoid the giant beast's attack. With the legion now backing them up, the rest of the Imperial soldiers began to charge forward. Happy watched on in horror as he saw his friends take several hits, their doom seeming inevitable now. It truly seemed like the end as the Imperial soldiers completely encircled them, ready to wipe them all out. Everyone will die at this rate. Happy sniffled as tears formed in his eyes, holding Carla close. Somebody, please help us. Just as the Imperial soldiers were about to finish off Gray and Lucy, it would seem that Happy's prayers had been answered. Suddenly, giant roots burst out of the ground and began to bind the Legion. The Imperial soldiers watched on in shock as their beastly reinforcements were wrestled to the ground. Then, a large tree began to emerge from the ground as well. After a few moments, a flag with the fairy tale symbol could be seen attached to the rising tree. Once the tree was fully above ground, the members of Idola's fairy tale burst out and began to assist their Earthland counterparts. Let's do this! Lucy Ashley exclaimed as she led the charge, roundhouse kicking one of the Imperial soldiers in the face. We aren't running anymore. Let's show them our power when we all work together. When Ashley reached Earthland Lucy, she smiled and offered her counterpart a hand. Sorry for being late, Heartfilia. Ashley, Lucy said with a smile, taking Ashley's hand as she was helped back onto her feet. You guys showed up right on time. Earthland's fairy tale is fighting, we have to fight too. Natsu Dragaon said as held up a magical weapon, his body trembling slightly. And once this is over, I'll finally work things out with Urza. Our feelings are inspiring the people of this world. Happy said, a few tears falling down his cheeks. Things are starting to look up. Ha! Carla said, surprising Happy with her sudden chuckle. A smile spread across Carla's face as she listened to the Edo fairy tale members yell, bicker, and banter, fighting fiercely against the Imperial soldiers. It doesn't matter what world we're in, we sure are one noisy guild. Same time, with Urza. Are you finished? Urza asked slightly out of breath as she pointed her flaming, electrified sword at Nightwalker. After battling fiercely on Nightwalker's legion, both scarlet-haired knights eventually made their way onto an abandoned floating island. Their intense fight had destroyed large chunks of the island, causing it to start descending toward the ground. Battered and bruised, Nightwalker grit her teeth in frustration as she gazed at her spear which had been shattered to pieces. It'd be wise to just give up. Without your spear, you have no chance of winning. I can't. Nightwalker struggled to say, tightly balling her fists. With a growl rumbling in her throat, Nightwalker lunged at Scarlet. I cannot lose. For the sake of eternal dash. Enough of that. Urza exclaimed as she grabbed Nightwalker by the throat and slammed her back onto the ground. Nightwalker hissed in pain as the flames surrounding Scarlet's hand burned her neck. Do you have any idea how many innocent people will need to be killed for this eternity you speak of? Stealing through force. Stealing through intimidation. Hating and destroying others. It's despicable. That's. Nightwalker wheezed out, glaring fiercely at Scarlet. That's what it is to be human. Bullshit. Urza roared as she cocked her free hand back, before hitting Nightwalker in the stomach with a devastating punch. Nightwalker gasped as all the air was knocked from her lungs. Humans should love and protect others. They should take a stand for what needs to be protected. And draw their swords against that which would cause others to shed tears. How can you not see the despair and hear the screams of this world, Nightwalker? Your Natsu and Lucy could see it. That's why they stand against the king. This seemed to strike a chord in Nightwalker as her eyes widened. So, why can't you as well? You wouldn't understand. Nightwalker exclaimed, tears forming in her eyes as she reached up and gripped Urza's wrist. I'm doing all this for them. What? Urza breathed out as the flames and electricity cloaking her body finally died out, her grip on Nightwalker's throat loosening slightly. What are you talking about? I understand what's happening in this world far better than you, our magical power is running out. Nightwalker said, tightening her grip on Scarlet's wrist. Our world is dying, it's dying because it's running out of magical power. To keep Natsu and Lucy safe, this world needs magic. It was Scarlet's turn to be shocked, now understanding what Nightwalker's motivations were. You Earthlanders with your unlimited magic wouldn't understand. The anxiety, the despair of running out of magic. If we don't obtain eternal magic, we can't survive. They won't survive. And if I lose Natsu and Lucy, then, I know what I'll do. I understand your feelings, more than you could possibly imagine. Urza said as she released her hold on Nightwalker's neck, a small smile spreading across her face. But look at us, you're out of magical power, I just ran out as well, we're both alive right now, aren't we? People won't just die without magic, especially those who have something, or someone, they want to protect. Instead, they overcome all their weaknesses and fears, they use their inner strength. That's what it means to be alive. Nightwalker said, sniffling as tears ran down her face. I don't know if I can. Without magic, I don't know if I'm strong enough. You are strong enough. Urza exclaimed as she reached out and gently gripped Nightwalker's shoulders. You went to these great lengths to try and protect the people you love. With that determination, even without magic, you'll be able to keep them safe. After this declaration, the floating island they were on finally crashed into the ground, close to where the Earthland and Idolas fairy tale mages were fighting. Now in a small crater, Scarlet and Nightwalker lay next to each other, staring up at the sky overhead. I don't even have the strength to move anymore. Nightwalker said in a pained voice, grunting in exertion just to tilt her head to look at Scarlet. How about you? I can move, but I'm not much better off. Urza said with a chuckle as she slowly sat upright, clutching at her aching shoulder. But hey, we're both alive. I really am no match for you. Once you brought out that fire and lightning magic, I didn't stand a chance. Nightwalker said, looking back up at the sky. You win, Scarlet. It doesn't matter who wins or loses. Urza said as a slight smile spread across her face. In the end, we're both the same Urza. After a few moments of silence, Urza reached over and gently gripped Nightwalker's hand. When this is all over, promise me you'll talk with your Natsu and Lucy. I'm sure if you explain yourself, they'll forgive you. I've been avoiding them for too long, and I've hurt them both so much. Nightwalker said, a single tear falling down her cheek. But you're right, they deserve to know why I did the things that I did, and even if they don't forgive me, they'll at least know that was trying to protect them. Same time, with Jalal and Lily. This is the room that produces the anima. Lily said as he gazed around the sprawling room which housed a single platform in the center, with a large crystal sphere. Your Highness, just what are we? I've observed Earthland for a very long time, though there's still conflict there as well, it's an abundant world. Jalal said, approaching a railing that surrounded the center of the room. Surely they'll be able to take it all in. Wait, you aren't suggesting what I think you are? Lily exclaimed in shock as he rushed over to Jalal's side. No matter the circumstances, that's too absurd. I see no other way to quell the conflict in this world. I'll create a new world where people can face each other properly. Jalal said, turning around to face Lily. I'll open an anima in reverse and expunge all of this world's magic. Same time, with the 3 dragon slayers. Fwahahaha. Faust laughed maniacally as he blasted the fairy tale dragon slayers with another barrage of explosions, watching in glee as they all collapsed to the ground. The Black Sky Dorma Anim is a special armor that multiplies the output of magical by several times. Rearing back, the Dorma Anim unleashed another assault, sending Natsu, Gajeel, and Wendy flying backward. You have no chance of winning now. We're all suffering from a lack of magical power. Natsu said, panting heavily as he slowly got back onto his feet. And somehow you, the king, seemingly has a limitless amount of it. It's only natural for a king to charge a national tax from the people. Dorma Anim is an ultimate magical weapon that will keep absorbing magical power from the whole world. That is why using it is forbidden. Since I activated it, it's my responsibility as king to win. For the sake of the whole world. As long as I have Dorma Anim, the ultimate magical weapon, my army will be immortal. Now gather more magical power. Ye sky. Ye earth. Give all your magical power to Dorma Anim. For the sake of the world, what a sick joke. Wendy said as she let out a shaky breath, sweat dripping off her brow. You say that as you selfishly take magical power from everyone else. Each of us joined a guild to live, that's why I only care about protecting my friends. Natsu said, tightly balling his fists as he exhaled a puff of blue flames. But I'll defeat you for everyone that lives in this world. Salamander, let's use our breath. Gadgil exclaimed as he got back onto his feet, before turning to look at Wendy. You too, kid. All three of us at once? Wendy asked in a somewhat skeptical tone, quirking an eyebrow. Are you sure about that? We've never tried it before because we don't know what will happen. Gadgil explained as he let out a shaky breath. But we've got no other choice. Understood. Wendy said, readying herself as wind and poisonous gas began to swirl around her. Let's do this. Fire dragons purifying. Iron dragons. Poison sky dragons. Roar. Fairy Tale's 3 dragon slayers all unleashed their breath attacks simultaneously. A thunderous crack rang out as the 3 streams of extremely powerful magical energy began to swirl around each other. The air itself seemed to vibrate as each roar seemingly began to battle for dominance. However, Faust's eyes widened in shock as he watched each of the dragon slayers' breath attacks start to merge together, forming a singular, devastating attack. With a blinding flash, the combined roars created an immense explosion of magical energy, sending out a powerful shockwave. When the debris and roaring wind began to die down, the 3 dragon slayers breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that the Dorma Anim appeared to be completely gone. Gee hee. Gadgil chuckled as a grin spread across his face. Looks like we did it. Don't think you've won yet. Above us. Natsu exclaimed, looking up and spotting the Dorma Anim in the air high above them. That piece of shit can jump too. You have to be kidding me. Wendy breathed out in a frustrated tone as she tightly balled her fists. Our 3-man roar didn't hit. Let's try one more dash. I won't allow it. Faust cut Natsu off as the Dorma Anim opened its maw, revealing its main cannon. Before the dragon slayers could properly react, Faust unleashed a flurry of blasts, completely covering the area below in massive explosions. Dragon spread cannon. Faust began to laugh maniacally as he witnessed the dragon slayers be tossed around like ragdolls, taking immense damage from his attacks. Ha 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 ha. Yes. Writhe in agony, you pathetic whelps. This is seriously bad. Gadgil said through labored breaths, every muscle in his body screaming out in pain as blood ran down his forehead. I've got no magic left. Heh, it seems like you've run dry. You may be able to use infinite magic, but once it runs out, it takes a while to return. You may assume that your treatment depends on your behavior. Faust couldn't help but chuckle in amusement as he watched Natsu desperately trying to stand back up, before collapsing back onto the ground. Now stop this pointless struggling and come quietly, be this world's magical power. Natsu, Gadgil, I'm sorry. Wendy thought, clenching her teeth in frustration as tears formed in her eyes. But I can't even stand anymore. Is this where it ends? Gadgil thought as he took a deep breath, feeling his heart starting to race. Damn, I never got to settle things with Levi. Tell her how she makes me feel. Both of you, don't you dare give up. Natsu snarled, managing to get back up onto his hands and knees. This sudden declaration caught Wendy and Gadgil off guard, both of them watching as the pink-haired dragon slayer slowly and defiantly got back up. This isn't over yet, give me everything you've got, you bastard. Now fully back onto his feet, Natsu clenched his fists and let out a fierce roar. I'm standing right here. Growling. Just how obstinate can you children be? Faust roared as he raised the Dorma Anim's foot and it brought it down on top of Natsu. However, Faust, along with Gadgil and Wendy, were utterly shocked when the pink-haired dragon slayer stopped the immense machine with his bare hands. The ground beneath Natsu began to cave in and the veins along his arms and head began to bulge as he used every ounce of strength he had. How? And Natsu. Wendy said, digging her fingers into the first as she began to pick herself up as well. Seeing the pink-haired dragon slayer's unwavering determination lit a roaring fire within Wendy. Despite every part of her body screaming for her to stop, Wendy got back onto her feet, her legs shaking from the exertion. I can't let him fight alone. You idiots. Gadgil grunted out in a frustrated tone as he watched his fellow guildmates still trying to fight. What the hell are we supposed to do without magical power? I'll drag it out. Natsu roared, falling down onto one knee as the Dorma Anim continued to force him down. Gadgil's eyes widened slightly as he watched the air around Natsu begin to crackle and spark with orange electricity. I'll summon tomorrow's share. Then the next day's. And the next after that. With a ferocious snarl and burst of electricity, Natsu began to rise up, getting back onto 2 feet. Then, with every muscle in his body strained to the max, Natsu pushed the Dorma Anim off him, causing the immense machine to crash onto the ground. With lightning coursing off his body, Natsu pounded his chest several times. Don't you ever underestimate dragon slayers. Yeah, hear me. Tomorrow's share. Gadgil thought as he slowly began to get back up as well, an image of Levi flashing through his mind. It means I'll get to see her again, I'll drag out every last damn bit of magic I have. Know your place, you fucking vermin. Who the hell do you think I am? Faust roared in fury as he raised one of the Dorma Anim's hands, preparing to blast Natsu. However, he was stopped when alarms began to blare in his cockpit. What the hell is going on now? But before Faust could figure out what was, he gasped in surprise when he noticed purple gas flooding into his cockpit. Looking at one of his displays, Faust growled in frustration when he spotted Wendy latched onto one of the Dorma Anim's arms, spewing poisonous gas directly down the barrel in the machine's hand. The gas was then traveling up the barrel and spreading through the rest of the Dorma Anim, and eventually into the cockpit. Ha! You tried that earlier, I won't work this time either. However, as Faust attempted to seal up the Dorma Anim and vent out the gas, he was shocked when his control display began to fizzle out and disappear. It was then that all of Faust's controls began to spark and shut down as they were overloaded with an immense amount of electricity. Managing to get a single display working, Faust snarled in annoyance when he found Natsu standing atop the Dorma Anim's head, flooding it with powerful electricity. When Faust tried to move the Dorma Anim in an attempt to shake off the pesky dragon slayers, he was surprised when the machine refused to step forward. I can't believe I was ready to just throw in the towel and give up. It's fucking pathetic. Gadgil thought, leaping into the air and transforming his arm into a large iron rod. Plummeting toward the ground, Gadgil pierced the iron rod through the Dorma Anim's foot, pinning the machine to the ground. We're fucking dragon slayers. We don't give up until the bitter fucking end. And when we stand united and join forces, we're fucking unstoppable. Changing the shape of the iron rod, Gadgil effectively managed to stop the Dorma Anim from moving. I've got this bastard locked down. He won't be able to escape into the air now. Go, salamander. It has to be you. Do it. No. No. Faust roared as he frantically tried to free the Dorma Anim and regain complete control over the machine. But with the poisonous gas still pouring in and shot controls, Faust could do little to stop what was happening. Taking a deep breath, Faust tried to not breathe in any more of the poisonous fumes as he frantically attempted to break free of his precarious situation. Wendy! Natsu exclaimed, leaping off the Dorma Anim's head. Hit me with one of your roars. Got it. Wendy called out as she stopped breathing poisonous gas into the Dorma Anim's cannon and dropped onto the ground. Taking a deep breath to calm herself, Wendy deactivated her poison Sky Dragon mode. I think I understand what Natsu is trying to do and I believe in him. I know he can do it. Wind began to swirl around Wendy as she gathered her magical power. Sky dragons, roar! Natsu grunted as he was hit by Wendy's breath attack, his entire body being enveloped in the roaring winds. Taking a moment to compose himself, Natsu began to rotate his body, quickly spinning faster and faster. Then, orange lightning began to course off Natsu's body, combining with Wendy's wind and forming what appeared to be a literal thundercloud. Lightning sparked and thunder clapped as the winds surrounding Natsu began to darken, turning a dark shade of gray. Gee, you slick bastard, not only are you using the rotation of the kid's roar, Gajeel thought, a wicked smirk spreading across his face as he watched the raging storm cloud grow and expand, bolts of lightning shooting out of it. But you created a fucking unison raid. Storm dragons. Rocketing toward the Dorma Anim, the storm cloud flowing around Natsu took the form of a raging dragon, its thunderclaps sounding like a ferocious roar. Raging blade. Is this a dream? Faust thought in awe as he stared down what seemed to him to be 3 actual dragons. The mighty beasts showcased their immeasurable strength as they worked in unison to defeat him. Such majestic beasts. With a deafening crack, Natsu slammed clear through the Dorma Anim's chest, grabbing a hold of Faust as he flew through the machine's cockpit. Then, the raging storm cloud surrounding Natsu flowed into every inch of the Dorma Anim, flooding the machine with roaring wind and crackling electricity. A split second later, the Dorma Anim exploded in a brilliant burst of orange electricity and powerful wind as the seemingly invincible machine was torn to pieces, raining debris across the area. With a grunt, Natsu hurled Faust onto the ground, before coming to a skidding stop himself. We did it! Wendy thought, a smile spreading across her face as she felt a wave of relief wash over her. We defeated a dragon. That wraps up this part of What If Natsu Had Dual Elements. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. What If Natsu Had Dual Elements will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. I'd love to do another poll to decide our next project, but unfortunately, due to my travel plans, I won't be able to start a new series until the end of December if we go that route. So instead, I've decided that the series which came in second place in the last poll will be our next project. That means the series replacing What If Natsu Had Dual Elements will be What If Transmigrated into One Piece and Became a Marine? Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.